kings. That's the sign. And it's associated with the early religion of this, because it's ruled by the sun, the sign Leo. And in Leo's here, you're ruled by the sun. And Leos naturally crave attention.
I don't know what
Generally
you're talking
speaking.
about.
I don't know, Mike. My partner's a Leo, and he does.
Thank you. Who said that? Anna, was that you? Who was just like, I have no idea.
That was me.
I was there with you.
Well,
I'm like,
here's the thing. I as an astrologer, I realized that by saying that, my internet's unsteady. That I don't like. My connection isn't steady.
no, my girlfriend is like that.
Pretty
My
loud
girlfriend
and
will
clear,
say,
Mike.
you know, you're.
No, but I just saw this. They told me it was.
My father.
They told me it was.
No, you don't come by Henry V for nothing, Sean.
Okay. Could I just cover as an astrologer, generally speaking, just to say something about a sun sign in general is ridiculous. You have to look at the whole chart. But wherever the sun is in your chart is where you are.
My audio
A lot of your
okay?
creative
Usually it's
work
outside.
is about.
Angus, you're good.
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Am I
Alrighty,
okay?
well, we're live on YouTube now, so welcome everyone. Welcome to the Instant Shakespeare Company. My name's Paul Sugarman. I'm the founder of Instant Shakespeare, and this is part of the History Project. We're reading the life of Henry V. And so I'm very excited about this, and very excited for this whole history project, which Stephen Brown masterminded and put together, and for our Playmaster for today, Alex Chilton. Thank you all so much for coming and doing, and over to you, Alex.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, it really is indeed like an exciting enterprise. We're all like going on, like we're tracking a spiritual line all the way across history from the greatest kings. And these plays are written by Shakespeare and his contemporaries. It's like, you know, often we take it for granted because we do so many of these plays, the great music and energy that is behind this work. And my wish today is that we all can like really appreciate the language and the words and the energy behind it. And be connected to each other, because there's so many talented people in this cast today. Like, I'm really lucky that you all showed up. Very grateful for what I have today. I was thinking about what Shakespeare's advice to the players was, where it's like, he says to speak the speech trippingly on the tongue, and how there's a heartbeat that goes on underneath all of his words. And there's another piece by Juliet that you're probably all familiar with, which is, gallop apace, you fiery-footed steeds, toward Phoebus' lodging. And it's like a horse beat, like galloping, 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 and then toward the sun. So I think that energy, like behind the words, would help us reach that apex and really have fun with this play. So I wish you all energy and fun and connection above all. So thank you all so much for being here.
Hey, can I just ask one thing, please?
Sure, of course. You're breaking up a little bit.
Nervous about my connection. I just want to make
Michael,
sure.
I'm sorry, but we could only caught about something like 2/3 of what you said.
I just froze. I'm looking at my open internet connections.
Oh, there
There's
you
my
are.
Wi-Fi.
You are. You're there.
Yeah, my
That's the problem
Wi-Fi
with
is on.
Wi-Fi.
Libra's connections. Yeah, but I'm also I purposely hooked up to whatchamacallit as
An
well.
Ethernet?
But that's where I'm having my problem. The
Ethernet cable.
Ethernet.
When in
You
doubt,
say
log
Civic
off
and
and-
I
This
say
is why we do the plays live again, right? But this is also
Can we
like
get started?
to do it over the internet still. But like, come on, like I missed this live. But Michael, you're reading loud and clear. Actually, if you speak again.
Right. I just don't want it to lose the connection. That's all.
You're there. You're there.
Well, who's that?
That's Molly.
Hi, Molly.
Why isn't that thing not showing up?
Are we doing introductions, Alex?
Yes, I just want to make sure that Michael is connected and everything.
Yeah, go ahead. And while you're,
Sure. Okay.
All
So I'll go ahead and run through our cast, and I'll introduce myself. I'm Alex Chilton. I'll be reading the chorus today, and I'll run through your characters and just say who you'll be playing, or I'll say who you'll be playing. And so playing Henry V.
Oh, it's me. Oh,
Doing it backwards.
Sean, hi.
Hey, there he is. And playing Nim, Jamie, and Sir Thomas Erpingham, and Neville Earl of Salisbury.
I'm not playing Jamie. I'm playing Macmorris.
Oh, you're playing Macmorris. That's right.
Yes. And I'm Tony Scheinman.
Yes.
Yes.
And playing Canterbury, the Earl of Cambridge, Governor of Harfleur, Williams, and the Duke of York.
What happened to my sound?
You're there. You're there. Michael.
I think we lost him.
Thing is, I hear, for some reason, Alex, I think yours breaking up on me more than anybody else's.
I think it's your connection, Michael.
Are you on a cell phone?
Alex is fine for me.
But
Yeah,
Alex
he's
is
fine
fine.
on
the internet is unstable. All right, then it's me. All right, I'm doing my best, guys.
Yeah, it's okay.
Can you hear me now? All
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
I'm Michael, and I'm doing Bishop of Canterbury, for other part.
Yes.
Williams, and a couple of other, the Earl of Cambridge, and the Duke of York, and a governor whose name I can't remember.
Harfleur.
And I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it. And playing Bedford, the Dauphin, and a French soldier.
That's me. I'm Drew Bolander. Hello.
Hello. Playing Fluellen, Westmoreland, and the Duke of Bourbon.
Angus Hepburn from London.
Yeah. Playing Bardolph, Rambures, Philip, Duke of Burgundy.
Hello, I'm Clinton Powell.
Playing Ely and Pistol.
I'm Lawrence Asher.
Playing Scroop, Duke of Britain and Gloucester.
Hello from Queens. I'm Roger Lipson.
Playing the Constable of France, Gower, and Sir Thomas Grey.
David Cedar, also from Queens.
And playing the boy and the court.
Hello, my name is Cory Terrell.
Hello, sir. Playing the Duke of Exeter. Exeter, David.
You're muted, David.
Are you there, David?
Yeah.
That's David Brown.
You just switched yourself on and then off again.
This is basically like an audio test, this part.
I'm sorry,
That's
I'm
right.
David Palmer Brown. I'm Exeter.
Yes. And playing the King of France, Bates, and Grand Pre.
Hi, I'm Mark Gehring.
Playing the first, playing Montjoy and the ambassadors and messengers and heralds.
Miguel Fania.
Playing Catherine.
Hi, I'm Amelia Bell.
Playing Mistress Quickly
Hi.
and Isabel.
Hi, I'm Anna.
And playing Alice.
Hi, I'm Marie-Christine.
Okay, and there will be, I won't be reading scenes, everything, we're just going to read the text. So, okay, let's begin, shall we? Oh, for a muse of fire that would ascend the brightest heaven of invention, a kingdom for a stage, princes to act, and monarchs to behold the swelling scene. Then should the warlike Harry, like himself, assume the part of Mars, and at his heels leashed in like hounds, should famine, sword, and fire crouch for employment. But pardon gentles all, the flat, unraised spirits that have dared on this unworthy scaffold to bring forth so great an object? Can this cockpit hold the vasty fields of France? Or may we cram within this little O the very casks that did affright the air at Agincourt? Oh, pardon, since a crooked man may attest in little place a million, and let us, ciphers to this great account, on your imaginary forces work. Suppose within the girdle of these walls are now confined two mighty monarchies, whose high upreared and abutting fronts the perilous narrow ocean parts asunder. Piece out our imperfections with your thoughts. Into 1,000 parts divide one man and make imaginary puissance. Think when we talk of horses that you see them printing their proud hoofs to the receding earth, for 'tis your thoughts that must now deck our kings, carry them here and there, jumping o'er times, turning the accomplishment of many years into an hourglass, for the which supply admit me chorus to this history, who prologue like your humble patience pray, gently to hear, kindly to judge our play.
My lord, I'll tell you that self-bill is urged, which in the 11th year of our last king's reign was like, and had indeed against us passed, but that the scrambling and unquiet time did push it out of further question.
But how, my lord, shall we resist it now?
It must be thought on. If it pass against us, we lose the better half of our possession. For all the temporal lands which men devout by testament have given to the church, would they strip from us, being valued thus as much as would maintain to the king's honor full 15 earls and 1,500 knights, 6,200 good esquires, and to relief of lasers and weak age of indignant faith, souls past corporal toil, 100 almshouses, right well supplied, and to the coffers of the king beside 1,000 pounds by the year. Thus runs the bill.
This would drink deep.
To drink the cup and all.
But what prevention?
The king is full of grace and fair regard.
And a true lover of the Holy Church.
Oh, the courses of his youth promised it not. The breath no sooner left his father's body, but that his wildness mortified in him seemed to die too. Yea, at the very moment, consideration like an angel came and whipped the offending Adam out of him, leaving his body as a paradise to envelop and contain celestial spirits. Never was such a sudden scholar made. Never came reformation in a flood with such a heady current scouring faults, nor never a hydra-headed wilfulness so soon did lose his seat, and all at once, as in this king.
We are blessed in the change.
Oh, hear but reason to divinity, and all admiring with an inward wish you would desire the king were made a prelate. Hear him debate of commonwealth affairs, you would say it hath been all in his study. List his discourse of war, and you shall hear a fearful battle rendered you in music. Turn him to any cause of policy, the Gordian knot of it will unloose familiar as his garter, that when he speaks, the air of Charter's libertine is still, and the mute wonder lurketh in men's ears to steal his sweet and honeyed sentences, so that the art and practice of life must be the mistress to his theoric. Which is a wonder how his grace should glean it, since his addiction was to courses vain, his companies lettered, rude, and shallow, his hours filled up with riots, banquets, sports, and never noted in him any study, any retirement, any sequestration from haunts popularity.
The strawberry grows underneath the nettle, and wholesome berries thrive and ripen best, neighbored by fruit of baser quality. And so the prince obscured his contemplation under the veil of wildness, which, no doubt, grew like the summer grass, fastest by night, unseen yet crescent in his faculty.
It must be so, for miracles are ceased. And therefore we must needs admit the means how these things are perfected.
But, my good lord, how now for mitigation of this bill, urged by the commons? Doth his majesty incline to it, or no?
He seems indifferent, or rather swaying more upon our part than cherishing the exhibitors against us. For I have made an offer to his majesty upon our spiritual convocation and in regards of causes now at hand, which I have opened to his grace at large as touching France, to give a greater sum than ever at one time this clergy yet did to his predecessors part withal.
How did this offer seem received, my lord?
With good acceptance of his majesty, save that there was not time enough for to hear, as I perceive his grace would have fain have done, the several and hidden passages of his true titles to some certain dukedoms, and generally to the crown and seat of France, derived from Edward, his great-grandfather.
What was the impediment that broke this off?
The French ambassador upon that instant craved audience. Oh, I think the hours is come to give him hearing. Is 4 o'clock?
It is.
Oh, then go we in to know his embassy, which I could with a ready guess declare before the Frenchmen speak a word of it.
I'll wait upon you, and I long to hear it.
Where is my gracious Lord of Canterbury?
Not here in presence.
Send for him, good uncle.
Can we call in the ambassador, my liege?
Not yet, my cousin. We would be resolved before we hear him of some things of weight that task our thoughts concerning us and France.
God and his angels guard your sacred throne and make you long become it.
Sure, we thank you. My learned lord, we pray you to proceed and justly and religiously unfold why the law Salic that they have in France, or should not, bar us in our claim. And God forbid, my dear and faithful lord, that you should fashion, rest, or bow your reading, or nicely charge your understanding soul with opening titles miscreate, whose right suits not in native colors with the truth. For God doth know how many now in health shall drop their blood in approbation of what your reverence shall incite us to do. Therefore take heed how you impawn our person, how you awake our sleeping sword of war. We charge you in the name of God, take heed. For never two such kingdoms did contend without much fall of blood, whose guiltless drops are every one a woe, a sore complaint against him whose wrongs give edge unto the swords that make such waste in brief mortality. Under this conjuration, speak, my lord, for we will hear, note, and believe in heart that what you speak is in your conscience washed as pure as sin with baptism.
Then hear me, gracious sovereign, and you peers that owe yourselves, your lives and services to this imperial throne. There is no bar to make against your highness's claim to France, but this which they produce from Pharamond in terram Salicum milies ne succeedent. No women shall succeed in Salic land. Which Salic land the French unjustly glows to the realm of France, and Pharamond is the founder of this law and female bar. Yet their own authors faithfully affirm that the land Salic is in Germany, between the floods of Saale and Elbe, where Charles the Great, having subdued the Saxons, there left behind and settled certain French, who, holding in disdain the German women for some dishonest manners of their life, established then this law, to wit, no female should be in heretics in Salic's land. which Salic, as I said, twixt Elb and Sala, is at this day in Germany called Mason. Then doth it well appear the Salic law was not devised for the realm of France, nor did the French possess the Salic land until 401 and 20 years after the function of King Pharamond, I suppose the founder of this law, who died within the year of our redemption, 426. And Charles the Great subdued the Saxons and did seat the French beyond the river Sala in the year 805. Besides, their writers say King Pepin, which deposed Childeric, did as heir general, being descendant of Blithid, which was daughter to King Clotha, made claim and title to the crown of France. Hugh Capet also, who usurped the crown of Charles the Duke of Lorraine, sole heir male of the true line and stock of Charles the Great, to find his title with some shows of truth, though in pure truth it was corrupt and naught, conveyed himself as the heir to the Lady Lingari, daughter of Charlemagne, who was the son to Louis the Emperor, and Louis the son of Charles the Great, also King Louis X, who was sole heir to the usurper Capet, could not keep quiet in his conscience, wearing the crown of France, till satisfied that fair Queen Isabel, his grandmother, was lineal of the Lady Ermengar, daughter to Charles, the foresaid Duke of Lorraine, by the which marriage, the line of Charles the Great was reunited to the crown of France. So that it is clear as the summer's sun. King Pepin's title and Hugh Capet's claim, King Louis his satisfaction, all appear to hold in right and title of the female. So do the kings of France, and to this day, howbeit they would hold up this Salic law to bar your highness claiming from the female, and rather choose to hide them in a net than amply to embar their crooked titles, usurped from you and your progenitors.
May I, with right and conscience, make this claim?
The sin upon my head, dread sovereign, for in the book of Numbers it is writ, when the man dies, let the inheritance descend unto the daughter. Gracious Lord, stand for your own. Unwind your bloody flag. Look back unto your mighty ancestors. Go, my dread Lord, to your great-grandsire's tomb, from whom you claim, invoke his warlike spirit, and your great uncle's Edward, the Black Prince, who on the French ground played a tragedy, making defeat in the full power of France, while his most mightier father on a hill stood smiling to behold his lion's whelp forage in blood of French nobility. Oh, noble English that could entertain with half their forces the full pride of France, and let another half stand laughing by, all out of work and cold for action.
Awake, remembrance of these valiant dead, and with your puissant army renew their feats. You are their heir, you sit upon their throne. The blood and courage that renowned them runs in your veins, and my thrice puissant liege is in the very Maymorn of his youth, ripe for exploits and mighty enterprises.
Your brother King and Mark earth do all expect that you should rouse yourself as did the former lions of your blood.
They know your grace hath cause and means and might. So hath your highness. Never king of England had nobles richer and more loyal subjects whose hearts have left their bodies here in England and lie pavilioned in the fields of France.
Oh, let their bodies follow, my dear liege, with bloods and sword and fire to win your right. In aid whereof we of the spirituality will raise your highness such a mighty sum as never did the clergy at one time bring to any of your ancestors.
We must not only arm to invade the French, but lay down our proportions to defend against the Scot, who will make road upon us with all advantages.
Those marches, gracious sovereign, shall be a wall sufficient to defend our inland from the pilfering borderers.
We do not mean the coursing snatchers only, but fear the main intentment of the Scot, who hath been still a giddy neighbor to us. For you shall read that my great-grandfather never went with his forces into France, but that the Scot, on his unfurnished kingdom, came pouring, like the tide into a breach, with ample and brim fullness of his force, galling the gleaned land with hot assays, girding with grievous siege castles and towns, that England, being empty of defence, hath shook and trembled at the ill neighbourhood.
She has been the more feared than harmed, my liege. For hear her but example by herself, when all her chivalry hath been in France, and she a mourning widow of her nobles, she hath herself not only well defended, but taken and impounded as a stray the King of Scots, whom she did send to France to fill King Edward's fame with prisoner kings, and make their chronicle as rich with praise as is the owls and bottom of the sea with sunken rack and sunless treasuries.
But there's a saying very old and true. If you will France win, then with Scotland first begin. For once the eagle, England, being in prey to her unguarded nest, the weasel, Scot, comes sneaking and so sucks her princely eggs, playing the mouse in absence of the cat, to tame and havoc more than she can eat.
It follows then the cat must stay at home. Yet that is but a craze and pretty traps to catch the petty thieves, while the armed hand doth fight abroad. The advised head defends itself at home. Government, though high and low and lower, in part keep one consent, agree in full national clothes, like music.
Therefore doth heaven divide the state of man in diverse functions, setting endeavor in continual motion, to which is fixed as an aim of obedience. For so work the honeybees, creatures that by a rule in nature teach the act of order to a peopled kingdom. They have a king and officers of sorts, where some like magistrates correct at home, others like merchants venture trade aboard, others like soldiers armed in their stings make booty upon the summer's velvet buds, which pillage they with merry march bring home to the tent royal of their emperor, who busied in his majesty's surveys the singing masons building roofs of gold, the civil citizens kneading up the honey, the poor mechanic porters crowding in their heavy burthens at his narrow gate, the sad-eyed justice with his surly delivering or to executors pale the lazy yawning drone. I this infer that many things having full reference to one consent may work contrariously, as many arrows loosed in several ways come to one mark, as many ways meet in one town, as many fresh streams meet in one salt sea, as many lines close in the dial center, so may 1,000 actions once afoot and in one purpose and be all well born without defeat. Therefore, to France, my liege, divide your happy England into 4, wherefore take you 1 quarter into France, and you withal shall make all Gallia shake. If we with thrice such powers left at home cannot defend our own doors from the dog, let us be worried, and our nation lose the name of hardiness and policy.
Call in the messengers sent from the Dauphin. Now are we well resolved, and by God's help and yours, the noble sinews of our power, France being ours, will bend it to our awe, or break it all to pieces. or there will sit, ruling in large and ample empery o'er France and all her almost kingly dukedoms, or lay these bones in an unworthy urn, tombless, with no remembrance over them. Either our history shall with full mouth speak freely of our acts, or else our grave, like Turkish mute, shall have a tongueless mouth, not worshipped with a waxen epitaph. Now, are we well prepared to know the pleasure of our fair cousin Dauphin? For we hear your greeting is from him, not from the king.
May it please your majesty to give us leave freely to render what we have in charge. Or shall we sparingly show you far off the Dauphin's meaning and our embassy?
We are no tyrant, but a Christian king, under whose grace our passion is as subject as is our wretched fettered in our prisons. Therefore, with frank and with uncurbed plainness, tell us the Dauphin's mind.
Thus then in a few, your highness lately sending into France did claim some certain dukedoms in the right of your great predecessor, King Edward III. In answer of which claim, the prince, our master, says that you savor too much of your youth, and bids you be advised there's no naught in France that can be with a nimble galliard won. You cannot revel in dukedoms there. He, therefore, sends you meter for your spirit, this ton of treasure, and in lieu of this, desires you let the dukedoms that you claim hear no more of you. This, the Dauphin, speaks.
What treasure, uncle?
Tennis balls, my liege.
We are glad the Dauphin is so pleasant with us. His present and your pains we thank you for. When we have marched our rackets to these balls, we will, in France, by God's grace, play a set shall strike his father's crown into the hazard. Tell him he hath made a match with such a wrangler that all the courts of France will be disturbed with chases. And we understand him well, how he comes o'er us with our wilder days, not measuring what use we made of them. We never valued this poor seat of England, and therefore, living hence, did give ourselves to barbarous license, as 'tis ever common that men are merriest when they are from home. But tell the Dauphin, I will keep my state, be like a king, and show my sail of greatness when I do rouse me in my throne of France. For that I have laid by my majesty and plodded like a man for working days, but I will rise there with so full a glory that I will dazzle all the eyes of France, yea, strike the Dauphin blind to look on us. And tell the pleasant prince this mock of his hath turned his balls to gunstones, and his soul shall stand sore charged for the wasteful vengeance that shall fly with them. For many a thousand widows shall this his mock out of their dear husbands, mock mothers from their sons, mock castles down, and some are yet ungotten and unborn that shall have cause to curse the Dauphin's scorn. But this lies all within the will of God, to whom I do appeal, and in whose name tell you, the Dauphin, I am coming on, to venge me as I may, and to put forth my rightful hand in a well-hallowed cause. So get you hence in peace, and tell the Dauphin his jest will savor but of shallow wit, when thousands weep more than did laugh of it. Conduct them with safe conduct. Fare you well.
And this was a merry message.
We hope to make the sender blush at it. Therefore, my lords, omit no happy hour that may give furtherance to our expedition, for we have now no thought in us but France, save those to God that run before our business, Therefore, let our proportions for these wars be soon collected, and all things thought upon that may, with reasonable swiftness, add more feathers to our wings. For God before will chide this Dauphin at his father's door. Therefore, let every man now task his thought, that this fair action may on foot be brought.
Now all the youth of England are on fire, and silken dalliance in the wardrobe lies. Now thrive the armorers, and honor's thought reigns solely in the breast of every man. They sell their pasture now to buy the horse, following the mirror of all Christian kings, with winged heels as English Mercuries, for now sits expectation in the air, and hides a sword from hilts unto the point, with crown imperial, crowns and coronets promised to Harry and his followers. The French, advised by good intelligence of this most dreadful preparation, shake in fear, and with pale policy seek to divert the English purposes. O England, model to thy inward greatness, like a little body with a mighty heart. What mightest thou do that honor would thee do, were all thy children kind and natural? But see, thy fault France hath in thee found out, a nest of hollow bosoms, which he fills with treacherous crowns, and 3 corrupted men. One, Richard, Earl of Cambridge, and the second, Henry, Lord Scroop of Masham, and the third, Sir Thomas Grey, Knight of Northumberland, have for the guilt of France, oh guilt indeed, confirmed conspiracy with fearful France, and by their hands this grace of kings must die. If hell and treason hold their promises, ere he take ship for France and in Southampton, linger your patience on, and we'll digest the abuse of distance, force a play, the sum is paid, the traitors are agreed, the king is set from London, and the scene is now transported gentles to Southampton. There is the playhouse now, there you must sit, and thence to France shall we convey you safe, and bring you back, charming the narrow seas, to give you gentle pass. For if we may, we'll not offend one stomach with our play, but till the king come forth, and not till then, unto Southampton do we shift our scene.
Well met, Corporal Nym.
Good morrow, Lieutenant Bardolph.
What? Are Ancient Pistol and your friends yet?
For my part, I care not. I say little, but when time shall serve, there shall be smiles. But that must be as it may. I dare not fight, but I will wink and hold out mine iron. 'Tis a simple one, but what though? It will toast cheese, and it will endure cold as another man's sword will. Psst. And there's an end.
I will bestow a breakfast to make you friends, and will be all 3 sworn brothers to France. Let it be so, good Corporal Nym.
Faith, I will live so long as I may. That's the certain of it. And when I cannot live any longer, I will do as I may. That is my rest. That is the rendezvous of it.
It is certain, Corporal, that he is married to Nell Quickly, and certainly she did you wrong, for you were troth plighted to her.
I cannot tell. Things must be as they may. Men may sleep, and they may have their throats about them at that time. And some say knives have edges. It must be as it may. Though patience be a tired name, yet she will plod. There must be conclusions. Well, I cannot tell.
Here comes Ancient Pistol and his wife. Good Corporal, be patient here. How now, my host pistol?
Say, strike. Couldst thou be host? Now by this hand I swore I score the term, nor shall my knell keep lodgers.
No, by my troth, not long. For we cannot lodge and board 12 or 14 gentlewomen that live honestly by the prick of their needles, but it will be thought we keep a bawdy house straight. A well-a-day lady. If he be not hewn now, we shall see willful adultery and murder committed.
Good lieutenant, good corporal, offer nothing here.
Peace!
For thee, island dog, thou prick-eared cur of Ireland.
Good Corporal Nym, show thy valour and put up your sword.
Will you shog off? I would have you soulless.
Soulless, egregious dog. Oh, viper vile, the soulless in thy most marvellous face, the soulless in thy teeth, and in thy throat, and in thy hateful lungs, yea, in thy more purdy, and well, within thy nasty mouth. Resort for soulless in thy bowels, for I can take, and pistol's cock is up, and flashing fire will follow.
I am not Barberton. You cannot conjure me. I have an humour to knock you indifferently well. If you grow foul with me, pistol, I will scour you with my rapier, as I may in fair terms. If you would walk off, I would prick your guts a little in good terms, as I may, and there's the humour of it.
Oh, braggart vile, and damned furious wight. The grave doth gape, and doting death is near. Therefore, exhale.
Hear me what I say. He that strikes the first strike, I'll run him up to the hilt, as I am a soldier.
An oath of mickle might, and fury shall abate. Give me thy fist, thy forefoot to me give, thy spirits are most tall.
I will cut thy throat one time or other in fair terms. There's the humour of it.
Poupla gorge, that is the word. I defy thee again, O hound of Creek. Think'st thou my spouse to get? No, to the spittle go, and from the poudering tub of infamy, fetch forth the laser kite of crested skin, dull tear sheet, she by name and her. I have, and I will hold the condom quickly for the only she, and Pauker, there's enough to go to.
Mine host pistol, you must come to my meister and my hostie. He is very sick and would to bed. Good Bardolph, put thy face between his sheets and do the office of a warming pan. Faith, he's very ill.
Away, you rogue.
By my troth, you'll yield the crow a pudding one of these days. The king has killed his heart. Good husband, come home presently.
Come. Shall I make you two friends? We must to France together. Why the devil should we keep knives to cut one another's throats?
Let floods earth swell and fiends for food howl on.
You'll pay me the 8 shillings I won of you at betting.
Base is the slave that pays.
That now I will have. There's the humour of it.
Manhood shall compound. Push home.
By this sword, he that makes the first thrust, I'll kill him. By this sword I will.
A sword is an oath, and oaths must have their course.
Corporal Nym, and thou wilt be friends. Be friends. And thou wilt not? Why then be enemies with me. To prithee put up.
A noble shalt thou have, and present pay, and liquor there likewise will I give to thee, and friendship shall combine, and brotherhood. I'll live by Nym, and Nym shall live by me. Is not this just? For I shall settler be unto the camp, and profits will accrue. Give me thy hand.
I shall have my noble.
In cash, most justly paid.
Well then, that's the humour of it.
As ever you come of women, come in quickly to Sir John. A poor heart, He is so shaped of a burning quotidian tertian that it is most lamentable to behold. Sweet maid, come to him.
The king hath run bad humours on the night. That's the even of it.
Nim, thou hast spoke the right. His heart is fractured and corroborate.
The king is a good king. But it must be as it may. He passes some humours and careers.
Let us condole the king. For Lamekins, we will live.
Before God, his grace is bold to trust these traitors.
They shall be apprehended by and by.
How smooth and even they do bear themselves, as if allegiance in their bosoms sate, crowned with fate and constant loyalty.
The king hath note of all they do intend by interception, which they dream not of.
Nay, but the man that was his bedfellow, whom he hath dulled and cloyed with gracious favours, that he should for a foreign purse so sell his sovereign's life to death and treachery.
Now sits the wind fair, and we will aboard. My lord of Cambridge, and my kind lord of Masham, and you, my gentle knight, give me your thoughts. Think you not that the powers we bear with us will cut their passage through the force of France, doing the execution and the act for which we have in head assembled them?
No doubt, my liege, if each man do his best.
I doubt not that, since we are all well persuaded. We carry not a heart with us from hence that grows not in a fair consent with ours, nor leave not one behind that doth not wish success and conquest to attend on us.
Never was monarch better feared and loved than is your majesty. There is not, I think, a subject that sits in heart grief and uneasiness under the sweet shade of your government.
True. Those that were your father's enemies have steeped their galls in honey and do serve you with hearts create of duty and of zeal.
We therefore have great cause of thankfulness, and shall forget the office of our hand sooner than quittance of desert and merit according to the weight and worthiness.
So service shall with steeled sinews toil, and labour shall refresh itself with hope to do your grace incessant services.
We judge no less. Uncle of Exeter, enlarge the man committed yesterday that railed against our person. We consider it was in excess of wine that set him on, and on his more advice, we pardon him.
Well, that's mercy, but too much security. Let him be punished, sovereign. Lest example breed by his sufferance more of such a kind.
Oh, let us yet be merciful.
So may your highness, and yet punish too.
You show great mercy if you give him life, after the taste of much correction.
Alas, your too much love and care of me are heavy orisons against the poor wretch. If little faults proceeding on distemper shall not be winked at, how shall we stretch our eye when capital crimes, chewed, swallowed, and digested appear before us? We'll yet enlarge that man, though Cambridge, Scroop, and Grey, in their dear care and tender preservation of our purpose, would have him punished. And now to our French causes. Who are the late commissioners?
I won, my lord. Your highness bade me ask for it today.
Oh, so did you me, my liege.
And I, my royal sovereign.
Well then, Richard, Earl of Cambridge, there's yours. There's yours, Lord Scroop of Masham, and Sir Knight, Grey of Northumberland. This same is yours. Read them, and know I know your worthiness. My Lord of Westmoreland, Uncle Exeter, we will abroad tonight. Why? How now, gentlemen? What see you in those papers that you lose so much complexion? Look ye, how they change. Their cheeks are paper. Why, what read you there that hath so cowarded and chased your blood out of appearance?
I do confess my fault, and do submit me to your highness' mercy.
To which we all appeal.
We all appeal.
The mercy that was quick in us but late by your own counsel is suppressed and killed. You must not dare for shame to talk of mercy. For your own reasons turn into your bosoms as dogs upon their masters worrying you. See you, my princes, my noble peers, these English monsters. My lord of Cambridge here, you know how apt our love was to accord to furnish him with all appurtenance belonging to his honor. And this man hath, for a few light crowns, lightly conspired and sworn unto the practices of France to kill us here in Hampton, to the which this knight, no less for bounty bound to us than Cambridge is, hath likewise sworn. But oh, what shall I say to thee, Lord Scroop? Thou cruel, ingrateful, savage, and inhuman creature, thou that didst bear the key to all my counsels, that knewest the very bottom of my soul, that almost mightst have coined me into gold. Wouldst thou have practiced on me for thy use? May it be possible that foreign hire could out of these extract one spark of evil that might annoy my finger? 'Tis so strange that though the truth of it stands off as gross as black and white, my eye will scarcely see it. Treason and murder, ever kept together as two yoked devils sworn to either's purpose, working so grossly in a natural cause that admiration did not whoop at them. But thou, against all proportion, didst bring in wonder to wait on treason and on murder. And whatsoever cunning fiend it was that wrought upon thee so preposterously hath got the voice in hell for excellence. All other devils that suggest by treasons do botch and bungle up damnation with patches, colours, and with forms being fetched from glistening semblances of piety. But he that tempered thee bade thee stand up, gave thee no instance why thou shouldst do treason, unless to dub thee with the name of traitor. If that same demon that hath gulled thee thus should with his lion gait walk the whole world, he might turn to Vasty, totter and back, and tell the legions, I can never win a soul so easy as that Englishman's. Oh, how hast thou with jealousy infected the sweetness of affiance? Show men dutiful. Why, so didst thou. Seem thy grave and learned? Why, so didst thou. Come they of noble family? Why, so didst thou. Seem they religious? Why, so didst thou. Or are they spare in diet, free from gross passion or of mirth or anger, constant in spirit, not swerving with the blood, garnished and decked in modest compliment, not working with the eye without the ear, and but in purged judgment, trusting neither? Such and so finely bolted didst thou seem, and thus thy fall hath left a kind of blot to mark the full fraught man, and best endued with some suspicion. I will weep for thee, for this revolt of thine, methinks, is like another fall of man. Their faults are open. Arrest them to the answer of the law, and God acquit them of their practices.
I arrest thee of high treason by the name of Richard, Earl of Cambridge. I arrest thee of high treason by the name of Thomas, Lord Scroop of Masham. And I arrest thee of high treason by the name of Thomas Grey, Knight of Northumberland.
Our purposes God justly hath discovered, and I repent my fault more than my death, which I beseech your highness to forgive, although my body pay the price of it.
Me, the gold of France did not seduce, although I did admit it as a motive, the suited to effect what I intended. But God be thanked for prevention, which in sufferance heartily will rejoice, beseeching God and you to pardon me.
Never did faithful subject more rejoice at the discovery of most dangerous treason than I do at this hour, joy o'er myself, prevented from a damned enterprise. My fault, but not my body. Pardon, sovereign.
God quit you in his mercy. Hear your sentence. You have conspired against our royal person, joined with an enemy, proclaimed, and from his coffers received the gold earnest of our death, wherein you would have sold your king to slaughter, his princes and his peers to servitude, his subjects to oppression and contempt, and his whole kingdom into desolation. Touching our person, seek we no revenge. But we, our kingdom's safety, must so tender whose ruin you have sought, that to her laws we do deliver you. Get you therefore hence, poor, miserable wretches, to your death. The taste whereof God of his mercy give you patience to endure, and true repentance of all your dear offences. Bear them hence. Now, lords, for France. The enterprise whereof shall be to you, as us, like glorious. We doubt not of a fair and lucky war, since God so graciously hath brought to light this dangerous treason lurking in our way to hinder our beginnings. We doubt not now, but every rub is smoothed on our way. Then forth, dear countrymen, let us deliver our puissance into the hand of God, putting it straight in expedition. Cheerly to sea, the signs of war advance, no king in England, if not king of France.
Prithee, honey, sweet husband, let me bring thee to Staines.
No, for my manly heart doth earn. Bardolph, be blithe. Nym, rouse thy vaunting veins. Boy, bristle thy courage up, for Falstaff is dead, and we must earn therefore.
Would I were with him, wheresoever he is, either in heaven or in hell.
Nay, sure, he's not in hell. He's in Arthur's bosom. If ever man went to Arthur's bosom, and made a finer end, and went away, and it had been any grissom child, parted even just between 12 and 1, even at the turning of the tide. For after I saw him fumble with the sheets, and play with flowers, and smile upon his finger's end, I knew there was but one way. For his nose was as sharp as a pen, and a babbled of green fields. How now, Sir John, quoth I, what man? Be of good cheer. So I cried out, God, 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 3 or 4 times. Now I had to comfort him, bid him I should not think of God. I hoped there was no need to trouble himself with any such thoughts yet. So I bade me lay more clothes on his feet, put my hand into the bed, and felt them. And they were as cold as any stone. And I felt to his knees, and so upward and upward, and all was as cold as any stone.
They say he cried out of sack.
Aye, that it did.
And of women.
Nay, that it did not.
Yes, that I did, and said they were delves incarnate.
Oh, I could never abide carnation. 'Twas a colour he never liked.
I said once the delve would have hem about women.
I did in some sort indeed handle woman, but then he was rheumatic and talked of the whore of Babylon.
Do you not remember I saw a flea stick upon Bardolph's nose and said it was a black soul burning in hell?
Well, the fuel is gone that maintained that fire. That's all the riches I got in his service.
Shall we, Shog? The king will be gone from Southampton.
Come, let's away. My love, give me thy lips. Look to my chattels and my movables. Let senses rule. The world is pitch and play. Trust none, for oaths are straws. Men's faiths are wafer cakes, and hold fast is the only dog. My duck, therefore, Caveto, be thy counsellor. Go, clear thy chrysalis. Yoke fellows in arms, let us to France. like horse leashes, my boys, to suck, the very blood to suck.
And that's but unwholesome food, they say.
Touch a soft mouth and march.
Farewell, hostess.
I cannot kiss. That's the humor of it, but adieu.
Let housewifery appear. Keep close. I've the command.
Oh, well, adieu.
Thus comes the English with full power upon us, and more than carefully it concerns us to answer royally in our defenses. Therefore, the Dukes of Berry and Brittany, of Bourbon and Orléans shall make force, and you, Prince Dauphin, with all swift dispatch to line and new repair our towns of war with men of courage and with means defended. For England, his approaches make as fierce as waters to the sucking of a gulf. It fits us then to be as provident as fear may teach us out of late examples left by the fatal and neglected English upon our fields.
My most redoubted father, it is most meet we arm us against the foe. For peace itself should not so dull a kingdom, though war nor no term of quarrel in question, but that defenses, musters, preparations should be maintained, assembled and collected, as were a war in expectation. Therefore I say, 'tis meet we all go forth to view the sick and feeble parts of France, and let us do it with no show of fear. No, with no more that if we heard that England were busied with a Whitsun Morris dance. For my good liege, she is so idly kinged, her sceptre so fantastically borne by a vain and giddy, shallow, humorous youth, that fear attends her not.
Oh, peace, Prince Dauphin. You are too much mistaken in this king. Question your grace the late ambassadors, with what great state are their embassy, how well supplied with noble consulars, how modest in exception, and withal how terrible in constant resolution. And you shall find his vanities forespent were but the outtake of the Roman Brutus, covering discretion with a coat of folly, as gardeners do with ordure hide those roots that shall first spring and be most delicate.
Well, it is not so, Lord High Constable, but though we think it so, it is no matter. In cases of defense, it is best to weigh the enemy more mighty than he seems, so the proportions of defense are filled, which of a weak and niggardly projection doth like a miser spoil his coat by scanting a little cloth.
Think we, King Harry strong, and princes look you strongly on to meet him. The kindred of him hath been fleshed upon us, and he is bred out of that bloody strain that haunted us in our familiar paths. Witness our too much memorable shame when Cressy battle fatally was struck and all our princes captive by the hand of that black name, Edward, Black Prince of Wales. Whilst that his mountain sire on mountain standing up in the air, crowned with the golden sun, saw his heroical seed and smiled to see him mangle the work of nature and deface the patterns that by God and by French fathers had 20 years been made. This is a stem of that victorious stock, and let us fear the native mightiness and fate of him.
Ambassadors from Harry, King of England, do crave admittance to your majesty.
Well, give them present audience. Go and bring them. You see, this chase is hotly followed, friends.
Turn head and stop pursuit. For coward dogs most spend their mouths when what they seem to threaten runs far before them. Good my sovereign, take up the English short, and let them know of what a monarchy you are head. Self-love, my liege, is not so vile a sin as self-neglecting.
From our brother of England? Our brother of England?
From him, and thus he greets your majesty. He wills you in the name of God Almighty that you divest your life, yourself, and lay apart the borrowed glories that by gift of heaven, by law of nature and of nations, longs to him and to his heirs, namely the crown and all the wide-stretched honors that pertain by custom and the ordinance of times unto the crown of France, that you may know 'tis no sinister nor no awkward claim picked from the wormholes of long vanished days, nor from the dust of old oblivion racked. He sent you this most memorable line, in every branch truly demonstrative, willing you o'erlook his pedigree, and when you find him evenly derived from his most famed of famous ancestors, Edward III, he bids you then resign your crown and kingdom, indirectly held from him, the native and true challenger.
Or else what follows?
Bloody constraint. For if you hide the crown, even in your hearts, there will he rake for it. Therefore, in fierce tempest is he coming, in thunder and in earthquake like a Jove, that if requiring fail, he will compel, and bids you in the bowels of the Lord deliver up the crown, and to take mercy on the poor souls for whom this hungry war opens his fasty jaws, and on your head turning the widow's tears, the orphan's cries, the dead men's blood, the privy maiden's groans, for husbands, fathers, and betrothed lovers that shall be swallowed in this controversy. This is his claim, his threatening, and my message, unless the Dauphin be in presence here, to whom expressly I bring greeting to.
For us, we will consider of this further. Tomorrow shall you bear our full intent back to our brother of England.
For the Dauphin, I stand here for him, but to him from England.
Scorn and defiance, slight regard, contempt, and anything that may not misbecome the mighty sender doth he prize you at. Thus says my king. And if your father's highness do not, in grant of all demands at large, sweeten the bitter mock you sent his majesty, he'll call you to so hot an answer of it that caves and womby voltages of France shall chide your trespass and return your mock in second accent of his ordinance.
Say, if my father render fair return, it is against my will, for I desire nothing but odds with England. To that end, as matching to his youth and vanity, I did present him with the Paris balls.
He'll make your Paris Louvre shake for it, were it the mistress court of mighty Europe, and be assured, you'll find a difference, as we his subjects have in wonder found, between the promise of his greener days and these he masters now. Now he wastes time, even to the utmost grain, that you shall read in your own losses if he stay in France.
Tomorrow you shall know our mind at full.
Dispatch us with all speed, lest that our king come here himself to question our delay, for he is footed in this land already.
You shall be soon dispatched with fair conditions. Our night is but small breath, and little pause to answer matters of this consequence.
Thus, with imagined wing, our swift scene flies, in motion of no less celerity than that of thought. Suppose that you have seen the well-appointed king at Dover pier embark his royalty and his brave fleet with silken streamers, the young Phoebus fan. Play with your fancies, and in them behold, upon the hempen tackle, ship boys climbing. Hear the shrill whistle which doth order give to sounds confused. Behold the threatened sails, borne with the invisible and creeping wind, draw the huge bottoms thorough the furrowed sea, breasting the lofty surge. Oh, do but think you stand upon the rivage, and behold a city on the inconstant billows dancing. So appears this fleet majestical, holding due course for Harfleur. Follow, grapple your minds to the sternage of this navy, and leave your England as dead midnight still, guarded with grandsires, babies, and old women. Either past or not arrived to pith and puissance. For who is he whose chin is but enriched with one appearing hair, that will not follow these cold and choice-drawn cavaliers to France? Work your thoughts, and therein see a siege. Behold the ordnance on their carriages, with fatal mouths, gaping ungirded Harfleur. Suppose the ambassador from France comes back, tells Harry that the king doth offer him Catherine his daughter, and with her to dowry some petty and unprofitable dukedoms the offer likes not, and the nimble gunner with linstock now the devilish cannon catches, and down goes all before them. Still be kind, and eke out our performance with your mind.
Yeah! Once more under the breach, dear friends, once more! Or close the wall up with our English dead. In peace, there's nothing so becomes a man as modest stillness and humility. But when the blast of war blows in our ears, then imitate the action of the tiger. Stiffen the sinews, summon up the blood, disguise fair nature with hard favored rage. Then let the eye a terrible aspect, then pry through the portage of the head like a brass cannon. Let the brow overwhelm it as fearfully as doth a galled rock o'erhang and jutty his confounded base, swilled with a wild and wasteful ocean. Now set the teeth, and stretch the nostril wide, hold hard the breath, and bend up every spirit to his full height. On, you noble English, whose blood is fet from fathers of war-proof, fathers that, like so many Alexanders, have in these parts from morn till even fought, and sheathed their swords for lack of argument. Dishonor not your mothers. Now attest that those whom you call fathers did beget you. Be copied to men of grosser blood, and teach them how to war. And you, good yeoman, whose limbs were made in England, show us here the mettle of your pasture. Let us swear that you are worth your breeding, which I doubt not, for there is not one of you so mean and base that hath not noble lustre in your eyes. Oh, I see you, standing like greyhounds in the slip, straining upon the start. The game's afoot. Follow your spirit, and upon this charge cry, God for Harry, England, and St. George!
On to the breach, to the breach!
Friday, Corporal, stay! The knocks are too hot, and for mine own part, I have not a case of lives. The humour of it is too hot. That is the very plain song of it.
The plain song is most just, for you must do abound. Knocks go and come, God's vassals drop and die. And sword and shield and blood and field doth win immortal fame.
Would I were in an alehouse in London, I would give all my fame for a pot of ale and suffet.
And I, if wishes would prevail with me, my purpose should not fail with me, but thither would I hie.
As duly, but not as truly, as bird doth sing on bow.
Up to the breach, you dogs! Abort, you curs!
Merciful great Duke, to men muffled, abate thy rage, abate thy manly rage, Abate thy rage, great Duke. Good Balcock, bate thy rage. Use lenity, sweet.
These be good humours. Your honor wins bad humours. Ow!
As young as I am, I have observed these three swashers. I am boy to them all three, but all they three, though they would serve me, could not be man to me. For indeed, three such antiques do not amount to a man. For Bardolph, he is white-livered and red-faced by the means whereof effaces it out, but fights not. For pistol, he hath a killing tongue, but a quiet sword, by the means whereof breaketh words and keeps whole weapons. For Nym, he hath heard that men of few words are the best men, and therefore he scorns to say his prayers, lest I should be thought a coward. But his few bad words are matched with as few good deeds. For a never broke any man's head but his own. For his never broke as many men had but his own. For he
I've got your
never
line
broke his man's
here
own.
on the camera. Cory, I've got your line here on the camera if you need them.
I do. The lines flew off my screen. Thank you
Can
so
you
much.
read it?
For Bardolph, he is white-livered and red-faced, by the means whereof effaces and wears out, but fights not. For pistol, a means whereof breaks words and keeps the whole weapons. For Nym, he hath heard that men of few words are the best men, and therefore he scorns to say his prayers, lest it should be thought a coward. Oh, I'm so...
Okay. Can you see your lines on my screen? I'm holding
and they would steal such things and call it purchase. Bardolph stole a loot case and bore it 12 leagues and sold it for 3 halfpence. Nym and Bardolph are sworn brothers in filching, and in Callus they stole a fire shovel. I knew by that pest of service that men would carry coals. They would have me as familiar with men's pockets as their gloves or their handkerchiefs, which makes much against my manhood, as if I should take from another's pocket into mine, for into plain pocketing up against wrongs, I must leave them and seek some better service. Their villainy goes against my weak stomach, and therefore I must cast it up.
Captain Fluellen, you must come presently to the mines. The Duke of Gloucester would speak with you.
To the mines? I tell you, the Duke, it is not so good to come to the mines. For look you, the mines is not according to the disciplines of the war. The concavities of it is not sufficient. For look you, the adversary, you may discuss unto the Duke, look you, is dight himself 4 yard under the countermines. But, sheesh you, I think I will plough up all if there is not better directions.
The Duke of Gloucester, to whom the order of the siege is given, is altogether directed by an Irishman, a very valiant gentleman, i' faith.
Is it Captain Macmorris, is it not?
I think it be.
Oh, by cheese you, he is an ass, as in the word. I will verify as much in his beard. He has no more directions in the true disciplines of the war, look you, of the Roman disciplines, than as a puppy dog.
No, here it comes, and the Scots captain, Captain Jamie, with him.
Oh, the Captain Jamie is a marvellous, valorous gentleman, that is certain, and of great expedition and knowledge in the ancient wars. But my particular knowledge of his directions, by Jesu, he will maintain his argument as well as any military man in the world in the disciplines of the pristine wars of the Romans.
I say, good day, Captain Fluellen.
God into your worship, good Captain James.
Now, Captain Macmorris, have you quit the mines? Have the pioneers given o'er?
Oh, by Christ, Lord, 'tis ill done. The work is give over. The trumpets sound the retreat. By my hand, I swear in my father's soul, the work is ill done. It is give over. I would have blown up the town, so Christ save me, Lord, in an hour. Oh, 'tis ill done, 'tis ill done. By my hand, 'tis ill done.
Captain Macmorris, I beseech you now, will you vouchsafe me, look you, a few disputations with you, as partly touching or concerning the disciplines of the war. The Roman wars in the way of argument, look you, and friendly communication, partly to satisfy my opinion, and partly for the satisfaction, look you, of my mind, as touching the direction of the military discipline. That is the point.
It shall be good, good faith, good captains both. I shall quit you with good leave, and as I may pick an occasion, that's all I, Mary.
It is no time to discourse, so Christ save me. The day is hot, and the weather, and the wars, and the king and the dukes. It is no time to discourse. The town is besieged, and the trumpet call us to the preach, and we talk, and by Christ do nothing. 'Tis shame for us all, so Christ save me. 'Tis shame to stand still. 'Tis shame by my hand, and there's throats to be cut, and works to be done, and there is nothing done, so Christ save me, Lord.
By the mess, ere these eyes of mine take themselves to slumber, I'll do good service, or I'll lay in the ground for it, or I'll go to the death, and I'll pay as valorously as I may. That's what I'll surely do. That is the brief and the long, Mary. I would full fain had heard some question between you twain.
Captain Macmorris, I think, look you, under your correction, there is not many of your nation.
Of my nation? What is my nation? It's a villain, and a bastard, and a knave, and a rascal. What is my nation? Who talks of my nation?
Look you, if you take the matter otherwise than is meant, Captain Macmorris, peradventure I shall think you do not use me with that affability, as in discretion you ought to use me. Look you, being as good a man as yourself, both in the disciplines of war and in the derivation of my birth, and in other peculiarities.
Do not know you're so good a man as myself. So Christ save me, I will cut off your head!
Gentlemen both, you will mistake each other.
Ah, that's a foul fault.
The town sounds a parley.
Captain Macmorris, when there is more better opportunity to be required, look you, I will be so bold as to tell you, I know the disciplines of war, and there is an end.
How yet, resolves the governor of the town. This is the latest parle we will admit. Therefore, to our best mercy, give yourselves. Or, like to men proud of destruction, defy us to our worst. For as I am a soldier, a name which I think becomes me best, if I begin the battery once again, I will not leave the half-achieved Harfleur till in her ashes she lie buried. The gates of mercy shall be all shut up, and the fleshed soldier, rough and hard of heart, in liberty of bloody hand, shall range with conscience wide as hell, mowing like grass your fresh, fair virgins and your flowering infants. What is it to me, then, if impious war, arrayed in flames like to the prince of fiends, do with his smirched complexion all fell feats linked to waste and desolation? What is it to me, then, if you yourselves are cause, if your pure maidens fall into the hand of hot and forceful violation? What reign can hold licentious wickedness when down the hill he holds his fierce career? We may as bootless spend our vain command upon the enraged soldier in their spoil as send precepts to the Leviathan to come ashore. Therefore, you men of Harfleur, take pity on your town and on its people, whilst yet my soldiers are in my command. whilst yet the cool and temperate winds of grace o'erblow the filthy and contagious clouds of heady murder, spoil, and villainy. And if not, why, in a moment, look to see the blind and bloody soldier with foul hand desire the locks of your shrill, shrieking daughters, your fathers, taken by the Silverbeards and their most reverend heads, dashed to the walls, your naked infants spitted upon pikes, whilst the mad mothers, with their howls confused, do break the clouds, as did the wives of Jewry did at Herod's bloody hunting slaughtermen. What say you? Will you yield in this avoid, or guilty in defense be thus destroyed?
Our expectation has this day an end. The Dauphin, whom of succors we entreated, returns us that his powers are not yet ready to raise so great a siege. Therefore, great King, we yield our town and lives to thy soft mercy. And to our gates, dispose of us and ours. We no longer are defensible.
Open your gates. Come, Uncle Exeter, go you and enter Harfleur. There remain and fortify it strongly against the French. Use mercy to them all. For us, dear uncle, the winter coming on and sickness growing upon our soldiers, we will retire to Calais. Tonight, in Harfleur, we will be your guest. Tomorrow, for the march, are we addressed.
Alice, tu as été en Angleterre et tu parles bien la langue?
Un peu, madame.
Je te prie m'enseigner, il faut que j'apprenne à parler. Comment appelez-vous le main en anglais?
Le main, on l'appelle the hand.
The hand. Et les doigts?
Le doigt, ma foi, j'oublie doigt, mais je me souviendrai. Le doigt, je pense qu'on l'appelle the finger, sort de fingers.
Le main, the hand. Les doigts, les fingers. Je pense que je suis le bon écolier. J'ai gagné 2 mots d'anglais vitement. Comment appelez-vous les ongles?
L'ongle, les appelons the nails.
The nails. Écoutez, dites-moi, si je parle bien, the hand, the fingers et the nails.
C'est bien dit, madame. Il est fort bon anglois.
Dites-moi, l'anglais pour le bras?
De arm, madame.
Et du coude?
D'elbow.
D'elbow. Je m'en fais la répétition de tous les mots que vous m'avez appris à des présentes.
Il est trop difficile, madame, comme je pense.
Excusez-moi, Alice. Écoutez. The hands, the fingers, the nails, d'arm et de bilbo.
D'elbow, madame.
Oh, Seigneur Dieu, je m'en oublie. D'elbow. Comment appelez-vous le col?
De nick, madame.
De nick. Et le menton?
De cine.
De cine. Le col de nick, le menton de cine.
Oh, sauf votre honneur, en vérité, vous prononcez les mots aussi droits que les natifs d'Angleterre.
Je ne doute point d'apprendre, par de grâce de Dieu, en peu de temps.
Vous avez déjà oublié ce que je vous ai enseigné?
Non, je réciterai à vous promptement. Hand, the finger, the nails.
The nails, madame.
The nails, the arm, the elbow.
Sans votre honneur, d'elbow.
Ainsi déjà. D'elbow, de neck et de cine. Comment appelez-vous les pieds de la robe?
Le foot, madame, le compte.
Le foot et le compte. Oh Seigneur Dieu, ils sont les mots de son mauvais, corruptible, gros et impudique, et non par les dames d'honneur d'user. Je ne voudrais prononcer ces mots devant le Seigneur de France pour tout le monde. Faux. Le foot et le conte. Néanmoins, je réciterai une autre fois, mais laissons ensemble. The hands, the fingers, the nails, the arm, the elbow, the neck, the chin, the foot, the conte.
Excellent, madame.
C'est assez pour une fois. Allons-nous à dîner.
'Tis certain he has passed the river Somme.
And if he be not fought withal, my lord, let us not live in France. Let us quit all and give our vineyards to a barbarous people.
Dieu vivant! Shall a few sprays of us, the emptying of our fathers' luxury, our scions, put in a wild and savage stock, spurt up so suddenly into the clouds and overlook their grafters?
Normans, but bastard Normans, Norman bastards. Mort de ma vie. If they march along unfought withal, but I will sell my dukedom to buy a slobbery and a dirty farm in that nook-shotten ill of Albion.
Dieu, but the pie, where are they, this metal? Is not their climate foggy, raw, and dull? On whom, as it despite the sun looks pale, killing their fruit with frowns. Can sodden water, a drench for serene jades, their barley broth decoct their cold blood to such valiant heat? And shall our quick blood spirited with wine seem frosty? Oh, for honor of our land, let us not hang like roping icicles upon our houses' thatch, while a more frosty people sweat drops of gallant youth in our rich fields. Poor we call them in their native lords.
By faith and honor, our madames mock at us and plainly say our metal is bred out, and that they will have their bodies, they will give their bodies to the lust of English youth to Noustor France with bastard warriors.
They bid us to the English dancing schools and teach La Voltas high and swift Carantos, saying our grace is onely in our heels, and that we are most lofty runaways.
Where is Montjoy the herald? Speed him hence, let him greet England with our sharp defiance. Up, princes, and with spirit of honor edged more sharper than your swords, high to the field. Charles de la Bresse, High Constable of France, you dukes of Orleans, Bourbon, and of Berry, Alençon, Brabant, Bar, and Burgundy. Jacques Chatillon, Rambures, Vendémont, Beaumont, Grand Prix, Roussy, and Falconbridge, Lois, Lestrade, Boisquical, and Charlois, high dukes, great princes, barons, lords, and kings. For your great seats now quit you of your great shames. Ah, Harry, England, that sweeps through our land with pennons painted in the blood of Harfleur, rush on his host as does the melted snow upon the valleys whose low vassal seat the Alps doth spit and void his room upon. Go down upon him, you have power enough, and in a captive chariot into Rome bring him our prisoner.
This becomes the great. Sorry am I, his numbers are so few, his soldiers sick and famished in their march. But I am sure when he shall see our army, he'll drop his heart into the sink of fear, and for achievement offer us his ransom.
Therefore, Lord Constable, haste on Montjoy, and let him say to England that we send to know what willing ransom he will give. Prince Dauphin, you shall stay with us in Rome.
Not so, I do beseech your majesty.
Be patient, for you shall remain with us. Now forth, Lord Constable, and princes all, and quickly bring us word of England's fall.
How now, Captain Fluellen? Come you from the bridge?
I assure you there is very excellent services committed at the bridge.
Is the Duke of Exeter safe?
Oh, the Duke of Exeter is as magnanimous as Agamemnon, and a man that I love and honour with my soul and my heart and my duty and my life and my living and my uttermost power. He is not, God be praised and blessed, any hurt in the world, but keeps the bridge most valiantly with excellent discipline. There is an ancient lieutenant there at the bridge. I think in my very conscience he is as valiant a man as Mark Antony, and he is a man of no estimation in the world, but I did see him do as gallant service.
What do you call him?
He is called Ancient Pistol.
I know him not.
Oh, here is the man.
Captain, I thee beseech to do me favours. The Duke of Exeter doth love thee well.
I praise God, and I have merited some love at his hands.
Bardolph, a soldier firm and sound of heart, and of buxom valour, hath by cruel fate and giddy fortune's furious fickle wheel, the goddess blind, that stands upon the rolling restless stone.
Oh, by your patience, Ancient Pistol, Fortune is painted blind with a muffler afore his eyes to signify to you that Fortune is blind, and she is painted also with a wheel to signify to you, which is the moral of it, that she is turning and inconstant, and mutability and variation. And her foot, look you, is fixed upon a spherical stone, which rolls and rolls and rolls in good truth. The poet makes a most excellent description of it. Fortune is an excellent moral.
Fortune is Bardolph's foe and frowns on him, for he hath stolen a pox and hanged must be, and damned death. Let gallows gape for dog, let man go free, and let not hemp his windpipe suffocate. But Exeter hath given the doom of death for pox of little price. Therefore go speak, the Duke will hear thy voice, and let not Bardolph's vital thread be cut with the edge of penny cord and vile reproach. Speak, Captain, for his life, and I will thee requite.
No, Ancient Pistol, I do partly understand your meaning.
Why then rejoice therefore.
Oh, certainly, Ancient, it is not a thing to rejoice at. For if, look you, he were my brother, I would desire the Duke to use his good pleasure and put him to execution. For discipline ought to be used.
Die and be damned, and Figo for thy friendship.
No, it is well.
The Figo of Spain.
Very good.
Why, this is an errant counterfeit rascal. I remember him now. A bawd, a cutpurse.
I'll assure you, I uttered the brave words at the bridge, as you shall see in a summer's day. But it is very well, for he has spoke to me. That is well, I warrant you, when time is served.
Why, 'tis a gull, a fool, a rogue that now and then goes to the wars to grace himself at his return into London under the form of a soldier. And such fellows are perfect in the great commanders' names, and they will learn you by rote where services were done at such and such a sconce, and at such a breach, at such a convoy, who came off bravely, who was shot, who disgraced, what terms the enemy stood on, and this they con perfectly in the phrase of war, which they trick up with new-tuned oaths, and what a beard of general's cuts and an orange suit of the camp, and will do among foaming bottles and ale-washed wits is wonderful to be thought on. But you must learn to know such slanders of the age, or else you may be marvellous mistook.
Well, I tell you what, Captain Gower, I do perceive he is not the man that he would gladly make show to the world he is. If I find a hole in his court, I will tell him my mind. Oh, hark you, the king is coming, and I must speak with him from the bridge. God bless your majesty.
How now, Fluellen? Camest thou from the bridge?
I so please your majesty, the Duke of Exeter has very gallantly maintained the bridge. The French is gone off, look you, and there is gallant and most brave passages. Marie, the adversary, was have possession of the bridge, but he is enforced to retire, and the Duke of Exeter is master of the bridge. I can tell your majesty the Duke is a brave man.
Well, what men have you lost, Fluellen?
Oh, the perdition of the adversary hath been very great. Reasonable great, marry, for my part, I think the Duke hath lost never a man, but one that is like to be executed for robbing a church, one Bardolph. If your majesty know the man, his face is all bubbacles and whelks and knobs and flames of fire, and his lips blows at his nose, and it is like a coal of fire, sometimes blue and sometimes red. But his nose is executed, and his fire is out.
We would have all such offenders so cut off. And we give express charge that in our marches through the country, there be nothing compelled from the villages, nothing taken but paid for, none of the French upbraided or abused in disdainful language. For when lenity and cruelty play for a kingdom, the gentle gamester is the soonest winner. Oh, who's this?
You know me by my habit.
Well, then I know thee. What shall I know of thee?
My master's mind.
Unfold it.
Thus says my king, say thou to Harry of England, though we seem dead, we did but sleep. Advantage is a better soldier than rashness. Tell him we could have rebuked him at Harfleur, but that we thought no good to bruise an injury till it were full ripe. Now we speak upon our queen, and our voice is imperial. England shall repent his folly, see his weakness, and admire our sufferance. Bid him therefore consider of his ransom, which must proportion the losses we have borne, the subjects we have lost, the disgrace we have digested, which in weight to re-answer his pettiness would bow under. For our losses, his exchequer is too poor. For the effusion of our blood, the muster of his kingdom too faint a number, and for our disgrace, his own person kneeling at our feet, but a weak and worthless satisfaction. To this add defiance, and tell him for conclusion, he hath betrayed his followers, whose condemnation is pronounced. So far my king and master, so much my office.
What is thy name? I know thy quality.
Mountjoy.
That does thy office fairly. Turn thee back, and tell thy king, I do not seek him now, but could be willing to march on to Calais without impeachment, for, to say the sooth, though 'tis no wisdom to confess so much unto an enemy of craft and vantage, my people are with sickness, much enfeebled, my numbers lessened, and those few I have almost no better than so many French. But when they were in health, I tell thee, Harold, I thought upon one pair of French legs did march 3 Frenchmen. Yet, forgive me, God, that I do brag thus. This your heir of France hath blown that vice in me. I must repent. Go, therefore, tell thy master, here I am. My ransom is this frail and worthless trunk, my army but a weak and sickly guard. Yet, God before, tell him we will come on. Through France himself and such another neighbor stand in our way. There's for thy labor, Montjoy, go bid thy master well advise himself. If we may pass, we will. If we be hindered, we shall your tawny ground with your red blood discolor. And so, Montjoy, fare you well. The sum of all our answers is but this. We would not seek a battle as we are, nor as we are. We say we will not shun it. So tell your master.
I shall deliver so. Thanks to your highness.
I hope they will not come upon us now.
We're in God's hands, brother, not in theirs. March to the bridge. It now draws toward night. Beyond the river we'll encamp ourselves, and on tomorrow bid them march away.
Okay, and we will take a break here for 5 minutes. We'll be back at 2:51. We'll be back at 2:51. Same place. Very good work, everyone, by the way. I couldn't be happier with the cast. Like, God, you're all bringing it. It's amazing.
Well, you can't really go wrong with good material.
Here. Exactly. But it calls you, the good material calls of your best. And it's just like when you bring it, it's like a meeting of two great things. So thank you, Tony.
How was my Irish accent, just out of curiosity?
That whole scene was so hilarious. It's like, I got a message from Anna. She wants to, but yeah, that was great, Tony. Really,
you go ahead and answer your message. Go ahead.
Yep. I just want to admit Anna back in. She's great. Yeah, everyone's so good. All right, let's.
How you doing, Alex?
I'm good.
He's got plenty of rest time in between choros.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You still playing tennis? Doing the thing?
Oh, eternally. Yes.
Eternally. I love that.
Alex, I want to apologize for my screw ups, and I forgot to do a French accent, but I was trying to go for the action, and I forgot all about the accent.
I think that the accents really don't work. For those of us who aren't following with the script, they're very hard to understand.
I disagree. I actually could, well, either way works, but I could understand the accents. You guys are pronouncing your words very clearly and with the accents, which like makes them distinctly French. But Michael, it also works that you didn't have an accent. Like going for the action, it read clearly.
Yeah, it's better to do that in a cold reading for me, because I'm not that great, especially a French accent. It's a tough one. Just a French accent. What's her name can do it really well. Where is she? Simone. She's
Actually,
good
it's
at
Christine.
Oh, is it Christine is doing it? I thought it was Simone.
I think, isn't she native born French?
No,
yes.
She's Swiss.
Every time I've heard her speak, she's been speaking with a French accent.
Yeah,
I am actually Swiss, but from the French part.
That's close enough.
Yes, but the French part, because you do a very good French accent.
Yeah, well, I worked really hard on it, so.
You should have seen and heard her as Marie Antoinette.
Oh boy,
which we did a stage reading of a couple of years back.
Just when she got her hair right. That was a joke. What was it? Joan Rivers said that. What were her last words? What were Marie Antoinette's last words? Oh, just when I got my hair right.
I apologize for the loss of scripts during the monologue that I had.
It's fine.
No worries about that. Yeah.
It happens.
We've had no shortage of technical errors over Zoom. But it happens. But it just goes to show, as I will repeat ad infinitum, that we must convene live. I think that's a necessity. But this is a nice substitute. Speaking of technical questions, how do I get Anna Cody back in here with us?
I think Paul promoted me. I think I'm here.
Ah, there you are. Good.
We think so too.
Yeah, we hear you, but we don't see you yet.
I've accidentally entered on audience, and if you enter on audience, you can't be seen. I did that once, and I didn't realize I was going in the wrong thing.
Either a host or a co-host can promote somebody to panelist. So I'd lost connection for a while, so that's one of the things that happens. But I'll try and keep an eye on it. Maybe I'll ask Martin to also make you a co-host, Alex, in case it happens again.
Sure.
Is someone near a train station? I just heard a train whistle.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Something like that. Not me.
Yeah, no, I'm just out delivering the mail in Bloomfield with lots of these political mailers that are slowing me down. But it is interesting after having heard Edward III so recently, how many sort of like call outs there are to Edward III in this play and to specific instances that are in Edward III. So, which I think also helps support the case that Shakespeare wrote both of them.
William Shakespeare.
Oh, I think there's too much poetry in Edward III for it not to be Shakespeare. I mean, so too much great poetry.
Agree.
Yeah. And there's so much, because when we read it is the first time I've ever read it. Like when we read it, and there's so much heart in that play.
Yeah.
Edward, everybody's back.
I think it's a very good play. Edward III, I think it really should be in the canon.
I think everyone is back. I don't want to lose this energy maintaining just so good. Yeah. Now there's a little change. We're gonna transpose a scene right now. I'm going to do the chorus speech, the Act 4 chorus speech, and then we're going to go into Act 3, Scene 7, and then we're going to skip the Act 4 chorus speech right into Act 4, Scene 1. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Gotcha.
Good.
They did something like that for the BBC television version.
Okay,
Right.
so I got you. Okay, great.
Yeah, right? Okay, so I'm going to chorus, and then we'll go into Act 3, Scene 7. Okay, cool, good. Okay, now, entertain conjecture of a time when creeping murmur and the pouring dark fills the wide vessel of the universe. From camp to camp, through the foul womb of night, the hum of either army stilly sounds, that the fixed sentinels almost receive secret whispers of each other's watch. Fire answers fire, and through their paly flames, each battle sees the umbered face. Steed threatens steed, and high and boastful neighs, piercing the knight's dull ear. And from the tents, the armorers accomplishing the knights with their busy hammers, closing rivets up, give dreadful note of preparation. The country cocks do crow, the clocks do toll, and in the third hour of drowsy morning named, proud of their numbers and secure in soul, the confident and over-lusty French do the low-rated English play at dice, and chide the creeple tardy-gated knight, who like a foul and ugly witch doth limp so tediously away. The poor condemned English, like sacrifices, by their watchful fires sit patiently and inly ruminate the morning's danger, and their gesture sad, investing lank lean cheeks and war-worn coats, presented them unto the gazing moon so many horrible ghosts. Oh, now, who will behold the royal captain of this ruined band, walking from watch to watch, from tent to tent? Let him cry praise and glory on his head, for forth he goes and visits all his host, bids them good morrow with a modest smile, and calls them brothers, friends, and countrymen. Upon his royal face there is no note how dread an army hath enrounded him, nor doth he dedicate one jot of colour unto the weary and all-watched night, but freshly looks, and overbears a taint with cheerful semblance and sweet majesty, that every wretch, pining and pale before beholding him, plucks comfort from his looks, a largess universal, like the sun. His liberal eye doth give to every one thawing cold fear, that mean and gentle all behold as may unworthiness define, a little touch of Harry in the night. And so our scene must to the battle fly, where, oh, for pity, we shall much disgrace, with 4 or 5 most ragged broils, right ill disposed, in brawl ridiculous, the name of Agincourt. Yet sit and see, minding true things, by what their mockeries be.
Tut, I have the best armor in the world. Would it were day.
You have an excellent armor, but let my horse have his due.
It is the best horse in Europe.
Will it never be morning?
My Lord of Orleans and my Lord High Constable, you talk of horse and armor?
You are as well provided of both as any prince in the world.
What a long night it is. I will not change my horse with any that treads by on 4 postures. He bounds from the earth as if his entrails were hairs. Le cheval volant, the Pegasus, chez la narine de feu. When I bestride him, I soar. I am a hawk. He trots the air. The earth sings when he touches it. The basest horn of his hoof is more musical than the pipe of Hermes.
He's of the color of nutmeg.
And of the heat of ginger. It is a beast for Perseus. He is pure air and fire. The dull elements of earth and water never appear in him, but only in patient stillness while his rider mounts him. He is indeed a horse, and all other jades, you may call them beasts.
Indeed, my lord, it is a most absolute and excellent horse.
He is the prince of palfreys. His neigh is like the bidding of a monarch, and his countenance enforces homage.
No more, cousin.
Nay, the man that hath no wit, that cannot from the rising of a lark to the lodging of a lamb very deserved praise on my palfrey. It is the team as fluent as the sea. Turn the sands to eloquent tongues, and my horse is argument for them all. It is a subject for a sovereign to reason on, and for a sovereign's sovereign to ride on, and for the world familiar to us and unknown, to lay apart their particular functions and wonder at him. I once writ a sonnet in praise, and it began thus: wonder of nature.
I have heard a sonnet begin so to one's mistress.
Then did they imitate that which I composed to my courser, for my horse is my mistress.
Your mistress bears well.
Me well, which is a prescript praise and perfection of a good and particular mistress.
Nay, for methought yesterday your mistress shrewdly shook your back.
Oh, so perhaps did yours.
Mine was not bridled.
Oh, then belike she was old and gentle, and you rode like a kern of Ireland, your French hose off, and in your straight strosses.
You have good judgment and horsemanship.
Be warned by me then. They that ride so, and ride not warily, fall off into bogs. I had rather have my horse than my mistress.
I had as live my mistress a jade.
I tell thee, constable, my mistress wears his own hair.
I could make as true a boast as that if I had a sow to my mistress.
Oh, le chien ne retronnait son propre vomissement et a trouvé laver au bourbier. Thou makest use of anything.
That I do not use my horse for my mistress, or any such proverb, so little kin to the purpose.
My lord constable, the armor that I saw in your tent tonight, are those stars or suns upon it?
Stars, my lord.
Some of them will fall tomorrow, I hope.
And yet my sky shall not want.
That may be, for you bear many superfluously, and 'twere more honor some were away.
Even as your horse bears your praise, who would not trot as well were some of your brags dismounted.
Would I were able to load him with his desert. Will it never be day? I will trot tomorrow a mile, and my way shall be paved with English faces.
I will not say so, for fear I should be faced out of my way. But I would it were morning, for I would fain be about the ears of the English.
Who will go to Azard with me for 20 prisoners?
You must first go yourself to Azard, ere you have them.
'Tis midnight. I will go arm myself.
The Dauphin longs for morning.
He longs to eat the English.
I think he will eat all he kills.
By the white hand of my lady, he's a gallant prince.
Swear by her foot that you may tread out the oath.
He is simply the most active gentleman in France.
Doing his activity, and he will still be doing.
He never did harm that I heard of.
No, will do none tomorrow. He will keep that good name still.
I know him to be valiant.
I was told that by one that knows him better than you.
What's he?
Mary, he told me so himself, and he said he cared not who knew it.
He needs not. It is no hidden virtue in him.
By my faith, sir, but it is. Never anybody saw it but his lackey, his own in valor, and when it appears, it will bait.
Ill will never set well.
I will cap that proverb with, there is flattery in friendship.
And I will take that up with, give the devil his due.
Oh, well placed. There stands your friend for the devil. I have at the very eye of that proverb with a pox of the devil.
You are the better at proverbs. By how much a fool's bolt is soon shot.
You have shot over.
'Tis not the first time you were overshot.
Miguel? Okay. My Lord High Constable, the English lie within 1,500 paces of your tents.
Who hath measured the ground?
The Lord Grand Pré.
A valiant and most expert gentleman. Witted per day. Alas, poor area of England, he longs not for the dawning as we do.
What a wretched and peevish fellow is this King of England to mope with his fat-brained followers so far out of his knowledge.
If the English had any apprehension, they would run away.
That they lack, for if their heads had any intellectual armor, they could never wear such heavy headpieces.
That island of England breeds very valiant creatures. Their mastiffs are of unmatchable courage.
Foolish curs that run winking into the mouth of a Russian bear and have their heads crushed like rotten apples. You may as well say that's a valiant flea that dare eat his breakfast on the lip of a lion.
Just. For the men do sympathize with the mastiffs in robustious and rough coming on, leaving their wits with their wives, and then give them great meals of beef and iron and steel. They will eat like wolves and fight like devils.
Aye, but these English are shrewdly out of beef.
Then shall we find tomorrow they have only stomachs to eat and none to fight. Now it is time to arm. Come, shall we about it?
It is now at 2 o'clock, but let me see. By 10, we shall each have 100 English men.
Gloucester, 'tis true that we are in great danger. The greater thereof should our courage be. Good morrow, brother Bedford. God Almighty, there's some soul of goodness in things evil, would men observingly distill it out. For our bad neighbor makes us early stirrers, which is both healthful and good husbandry. Besides, they are our outward consciences and preachers to us all, admonishing that we should dress us fairly for our end. Thus may we gather honey from the weed and make a moral of the devil himself. A good morrow, old Sir Thomas Erpingham. A good soft pillow for that good white head were better than a churlish turf of France.
Not so, my liege. This lodging likes me better, since I may say, now lie I like a king.
'Tis good for men to love their present pains upon example, so the spirit is eased. And when the mind is quickened out of doubt, the organs, though defunct and dead before, break up their drowsy grave and newly move with casted slow and fresh legerity. Lend me thy cloak, Sir Thomas. Brothers, both, commend me to the princes in our camp. Do my good morrow to them, and anon desire them to my pavilion.
We shall, my liege.
Shall I attend your grace?
No, my good knight. Go with my brothers to my lords of England. I and my bosom must debate a while, and then I would no other company.
The Lord in heaven bless thee, noble Harry.
God a mercy, old heart. Thou speaks cheerfully.
Hola.
A friend.
Discuss unto me, art thou officer, or art thou base, common, and unpopular?
I am a gentleman of a company.
Trayest thou the puissant pike?
Even so. What are you?
As good a gentleman as the emperor.
Then you're better than a king.
The kings of Alcock, and our heart of gold, a lad of life, an imp of fame, a parent's good fist, most valiant. I kiss his dirty shoe, and from hot string I love the lovely bully. What is thy name?
Harry Leroy.
Leroy. Oh, a Cornish name. Art thou of Cornish crew?
No, I am a Welshman.
Knowst thou Fluellen?
Yes.
Tell him I'll knock his leek about his pate upon St. David's Day.
Do not wear your dagger in your cap that day, lest he knock that about yours.
Art thou his friend?
And his kinsman, too.
The fee go for thee, then.
I thank you. God be with you.
My name is Pistol called.
It sorts well with your fierceness.
Captain Fluellen.
So, in the name of Jesus Christ, speak fewer. It is the greatest admiration in the universal world when the true and ancient prerogatives and laws of the wars is not kept. If you would take the pains but to examine the wars of Pompey the Great, you shall find, I warrant you, that there is no tiddle-taddle, nor pibble-babble in Pompey's camp. I warrant you, you shall find the ceremonies of the wars, and the cares of it, and the forms of it, and the sobriety of it, and the modesty of it to be otherwise.
Why, the enemy is loud. You hear them all night.
The enemy is an ass and a fool and a prating coxcomb. Is it meet, thank you, that we should also? Look you, be an ass and a fool and a prating coxcomb in your own conscience now.
I will speak lower.
I pray you, and beseech you that you will.
For it appear a little out of fashion, there is much care and valour in this Welshman.
Brother John Bates is
Brother
not
John Bates is not the morning which breaks yonder.
I think it be, but we have no great cause to desire the approach of day.
Michael?
Yeah. Yeah, we see yonder the beginning of the day, but I think we shall never see the end of it. Who goes there?
A friend.
Under what captain serve you?
Under Sir Thomas Erpingham.
A good old commander, a most kind gentleman. I pray you, what thinks he of our state?
Even as men wrecked upon a sand that looked to be washed off the next tide.
Hath he not told his thought to the king?
No, nor it is not meet he should. For though I speak it to you, I think the king is but a man, as I am. The violet smells to him as it doth to me, the element shows to him as it doth to me. All his senses have but human conditions. The ceremonies laid by, in his nakedness, he appears but a man. And though his affections are higher mounted than ours, yet, when they stoop with the like wing. Therefore, when he sees reason our fears, as we do his fears, out of doubt, be of the same relish as ours are. Yet, in reason, no man should possess him with any appearance of fear, lest he, by showing it, should dishearten his army.
He may show what outward courage he will, but I believe, as cold a night as 'tis, he could wish himself in Thames up to the neck. And so I would he were, and I by him at all adventures, so we were quit here.
By my troth, I'll speak my conscience of the king. I think he would not wish himself anywhere but where he is.
Then I would he were here alone. So should he be sure to be ransomed, and a many poor men's lives saved.
I dare say you love him not so ill to wish him here alone. However so, you speak this to feel other men's minds. Methinks I could not die anywhere so contented as in the king's company, his cause being just and his quarrel honourable.
That's more than we know.
Aye, or more than we should seek after. For we know enough if we know we are the king's subjects. If his cause be wrong, our obedience to the king wipes the crime out of it.
Yeah, but if the cause be not good, the king himself has a heavy reckoning to make. When all those legs and arms and heads chopped off in battle shall join together at the later day and cry all, we died at such and such a place. Some swearing, some crying for a surgeon, some upon their wives, left poor behind them. some upon the debts they owe, some upon their children rawly left. I'm afeard there are a few die well that die in the battle. So how can they charitably dispose of anything when blood is their argument? Now, if these men do not die well, it will be a black matter for the king that led them to it, who to disobey were against all proportion of subjugation.
So, if his son, that is by his father, sent about merchandise to sinfully miscarry upon the sea, the imputation of his wickedness by your rule should be imposed upon the father that sent him. Or if a servant, under his master's command, transporting a sum of money, be assailed by robbers and die in many irreconciled iniquities, you may call the business of the master the author of the servant's damnation. But 'tis not so. The king is not bound to answer the particular endings of his soldiers, the father of his son, or the master of his servant, for they purpose not their death when they purpose their services. Besides, there is no king, be his cause never so spotless, if it come to the arbitrament of swords, can try it out with all unspotted soldiers. Some peradventure have on them the guilt of premeditated and contrived murder, some of beguiling virgins with the broken seals of perjury, some making the wars their bulwark, and have before gored the gentle bosom of peace with pillage and robbery. Now, if these men have defeated the law and outrun native punishment, though they can outstrip men, they have no wings to fly from God. War is his beetle, war is vengeance, so that here men are punished for, before, breach of the king's laws, and now the king's quarrel. Where they feared the death, they have borne life away, and where they would be safe, they perish. Then if they die unprovided, no more is the king guilty of their damnation than he was before guilty of those impieties for which they are now visited. Every subject's duty is the king's, but every subject's soul is his own. Therefore should every soldier in his wars do as every sick man in his bed, wash every mote out of his conscience, and dying so, death is to him advantage, or not dying. The time was blessedly lost wherein such preparation was gained. And in him that escapes, it were not sin to think that, making God so free an offer, he let him outlive that day to see his greatness and to teach others how they should prepare.
'Tis certain, every man that dies ill, the ill upon his own head. The king is not to answer.
I do not desire he should answer for me, and yet I determined to fight lustily for him.
I myself heard the king say he would not be ransomed.
Yeah, he said so, to make us fight cheerfully. But when our throats are cut, he may be ransomed, and we ne'er the wiser.
If I live to see it, I'll never trust his word after.
You pay him then. That a perilous shot out of an elder gun that a poor and private displeasure can do against a monarch. You may as well go about to turn the sun to ice with fanning in his face with a peacock's feather. You never trust his word after, Con. 'Tis a foolish saying.
Your reproof is something too round. I should be angry with you if the time were convenient.
Let it be a quarrel between us if you live.
I embrace it.
How shall I know thee again?
Well, give me any gauge of thine, and I will wear it in my bonnet. Then, if ever thou darest acknowledge it, I will make it my quarrel.
Here's my glove. Give me another of thine.
There.
This will I also wear my cap. If ever thou come to me and say after tomorrow, this is my glove, by this hand I will take thee a box on the ear.
If ever I live to see it, I will challenge it.
Well, how? Can't hear you. Uh-oh. I can't hear you, but I think you just told me you would challenge it. Well, this well be hanged.
Well, I will do it, though I take thee in the king's company. Keep thy word. Fare thee well.
You hear me? I can't hear you.
Be friends, you English fools. Be friends.
Hello?
have French quarrels enough if you could tell how to reckon.
Indeed, the French may lay 20 French crowns to 1. They will beat us, for they bear them on their shoulders. But it is no English treason to cut French crowns, and tomorrow the king himself will be the clipper. Upon the king. Let us our lives, our souls, our debts, our careful wives, our children, and our sins lay on the king. We must bear all. O hard condition, twin born with greatness, subject to the breath of every fool, whose sense no more can feel but his own wringing. What infinite heart's ease must kings neglect that private men enjoy? And what of kings that privates have not too, save ceremony, save general ceremony? And what art thou, thou idle ceremony? What kind of god art thou, that sufferest more of mortal griefs than do thy worshippers? What are thy rents? What are thy comings in? O ceremony, show me but thy worth. What is thy soul of adoration? Art thou aught else but place, degree, and form, creating awe and fear in other men? Wherein thou art less happy being feared than they in fearing? What drink'st thou oft, instead of homage sweet, but poison flattery? Oh, be sick, greatness, and bid thy ceremony give thee cure. Think'st thou the fiery fever will go out with titles blown from adulation? Will it give place to flexure and low bending? Canst thou, when thou commandst the beggar's knee, command the health of it? No, thou proud dream. Thou playest so subtly with a king's response. I am a king that find thee, and I know 'tis not the bomb, the scepter and the ball, the sword, the mace, the crown imperial, the intertissued robe of gold and pearl, the farced title running for the king, the throne he sits on, nor the tide of pomp that beats upon the high shores of the world. No, not all of these. Laid in bed majestical, can sleep so soundly as the wretched slave, who with a body filled and vacant mind gets him to rest, crammed with distressful bread, never sees horrid night, the child of hell, but like a lackey from the rise to set, sweats in the eye of Phoebus, and all night sleeps in Elysium. Next day after dawn doth rise and help Hyperion to his horse, and follow so the ever-running year with profitable labor to his grave. And but for ceremony, such a wretch, winding up days with toil and nights with sleep, had the forehand advantage of a king. The slave, a member of the country's peace, enjoys it, but in gross brain little wots what a king keeps to maintain the peace, whose hours the peasant best advantages.
My lord, your nobles, jealous of your absence, seek through your camp to find you.
Good old knight, collect them all together at my tent. I'll be there before thee.
I shall do it, my lord.
O God of battles, steel my soldiers' hearts, possess them not with fear, take from them now their sense of reckoning, if the opposed numbers pluck their hearts from them. Not today, O Lord, oh, not today. Think not upon the fault my father made encompassing the crown. I, Richard's body, have interred anew, and on it have bestowed more contrite tears than from it issued forced drops of blood. 500 poor I have yearly paid, who twice a day with withered hands hold up toward heaven to pardon blood. And I have built 2 chantries where the sad and solemn priests sing still for Richard's soul. More will I do, though all that I can do is nothing worth, since that my penitence comes after all, imploring pardon.
My liege.
My brother Gloucester's voice. I know thy errand. I'll go with thee. The day, my friends, and all things stay for me.
The sun doth gild our armor up, my lords.
Mon cheval, my horse, varlet, lackey, ha!
Oh, brave spirit!
Ah, via les eaux et terres.
Rien puis l'air est fou.
Ciel, cousin Orleans. Now, my lord constable.
Are our steeds for present service, nay?
Mount them, and make incision in their hides, that their hot blood may spin in English eyes, and doubt them with superfluous courage. Ha!
What, will you have them weep our horses' blood? How shall we then behold their natural tears?
The English are embattled, you French peers.
To horse, you gallant princes, straight to horse. Do but behold yon poor and starving band, and your fair show shall suck away their souls, leaving them but the shades and husks of men. There's not work enough for all our hands, scarce blood enough in all their sickly veins to give each naked cutlaw a stain, that our French gallants shall today draw out and sheathe for lack of sport. Let us but blow on them the vapor of our valor, or turn them. Tis positive against all exceptions, lords, that our superfluous lackeys and our peasants, who in unnecessary action swarm about our squares of bataille, were enow to purge this field of such a hilding foe. Though we upon the mountains basis by took stand for idle speculation, but that our honors must not. What is to say? A very little let us do, and all is done. Then let the trumpet sound, the tuckets sonnets to the note to mount. For our approach shall so much dare the field, that England shall couch down in fear and yield.
Why do you stay so long, my lords of France? Yon island carrions, desperate of their bones, ill-favoredly become the morning field. Their ragged curtains poorly are let loose, and our air shakes them passing scornfully. Big Mars seems bankrupt in their beggared host, and faintly through rusty beaver peeps. The horsemen sit like fixed candlesticks with torch staves in their hand, and their poor jades lob down their heads, dropping the hides and hips, the gum down roping from their pale dead eyes, and in their pale dull mouths the jimmet bit lies foul with chewed grass, still and motionless. And their executors, the knavish crows, fly o'er them all, impatient for their hour. Description cannot suit itself in words to demonstrate the life of such a battle. In life so lifeless as it shows itself.
They have said their prayers, and they stay for death.
Shall we go send them dinners and fresh suits and give their fasting horses provender, and after fight with them?
I stay but for my guard. Unto the field, I will the banner from a trumpet take, and use it for my haste. Come away, the sun is high, and we outwear the day.
Where is the king?
The king himself is rode to view the battle.
Of fighting men they have full 70,000.
There's 5 to 1. Besides, they are all fresh.
God's arms strike with us. 'Tis a fearful odds. God by you, princes all. I'll to my charge. If we no more meet till we meet in heaven, then joyfully, my noble lord of Bedford, my dear Lord Gloucester, and my good Lord Exeter, and my kind kinsmen, warriors all, adieu.
Farewell, good Salisbury, and good luck go with thee. And yet I do thee wrong to mind thee of it, for thou art framed of the firm truth and valor.
Farewell, kind lord. Fight valiantly today.
He is as full of valor as of kindness, princely in both.
Oh, that we now had here but 1/10,000 of those men in England that do no work today.
What's he that wishes so? My cousin Westmoreland? No, my fair cousin. If we are marked to die, we are enough to do our country loss. And if to live, the fewer men, the greater share of honor. God's will, I pray thee, wish not one man more. By Jove, I'm not covetous for gold, nor care I who doth feed upon my cost. It yearns me not if men my garments wear, such outward things dwell not in my desires. But if it be a sin to covet honor, oh, I am the most offending soul alive. No, faith, my coz, wish not a man from England. God's peace, I would not lose so great an honor as one man more, methinks, would share from me for the best hope I have. Oh, do not wish one more. Rather, proclaim at Westmoreland through my host, that he which hath no stomach to this fight, let him depart. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put into his purse. We would not die in that man's company that fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispian. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will stand a tiptoe when that day is named, and rouse him at the name of Crispian. He that shall live this day and see old age will yearly, on the vigil, feast his neighbors and say, tomorrow is Saint Crispian. Then will he strip his sleeve and show his scars and say, these wounds I had on Crispian's day. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgot, but he'll remember with advantages what feats he did that day. Then shall our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Bedford and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester, be in their flowing cups freshly remembered. This story shall the good man teach his son, and Crispian shall ne'er go by from this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother, be he ne'er so vile. This day shall gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, whiles any speaks that fought with us upon Saint Crispin's day.
My sovereign lord, bestow yourself with speed. The French are bravely in their battles set, and will with all expedience charge on us.
All things are ready if our minds be so.
Perish the man whose mind is backward now.
Thou dost not wish more help from England, coz?
God's will, my liege. Would you and I alone, without more help, could fight this royal battle?
Why, now thou hast unwished 5,000 men, which likes me better than to wish us one. You know your places. God be with you all.
Once more I come to know of thee, King Harry, if for thy ransom thou wilt compound, before thy most assured overthrow, for certainly thou art so near the gulf, thou needs must be engluttoned. Besides, in mercy, the constable desires thee. Thou wilt mind thy followers of repentance, that their souls may make a peaceful and sweet retire from off these fields, where wretches their poor bodies must lie and fester.
Who hath sent thee now?
The constable of France.
I pray thee, bear my former answer back. Bid them achieve me and sell my bones. Good God, why should they mock poor fellows thus? The man that once did sell the lion's skin while the beast lived was killed with hunting him. A many of our bodies shall no doubt find native graves, upon the which I trust shall witness live in brass of this day's work. And those that leave their valiant bones in France, dying like men, though buried in your dunghills, they shall be famed. For there the sun shall greet them, and draw their honors reeking up to heaven. leaving their earthly pots to choke your clime, the smell whereof shall breed a plague in France. Mark them abounding valor in our English, that being dead, like to the bullets grazing, break out into a second course of mischief, killing in relapse of mortality. Let me speak proudly. Tell the constable, we are but warriors for the working day. Our gayness and our guilt are all besmirched with rain, marching in the plainful field. There's not a piece of feather in our host. Good argument, I hope we will not fly. And time hath worn us into slovenry. But by the mass, our hearts are in the trim. And my poor soldiers tell me, yet ere night, they'll be in fresher robes, or they will pluck the gay new coats or the French soldiers' heads and turn them out of service. If they do this, as if God please they shall, my ransom then will soon be levied. Herald, save thou thy labour. Come thou no more for ransom, gentle herald. They shall have none, I swear, but these my joints, which if they have as I will leave them, shall yield them little. Tell the constable.
I shall, King Harry, and so fare thee well. Thou never shalt hear herald any more.
I fear thou'lt once more come for ransom.
Lord, most humbly on my knee, I beg the leading of the vow.
Take it, brave York. Now, soldiers, march away, and how thou please it, God, dispose the day.
Hail, Kerr.
Je pense que vous êtes le gentilhomme de bonne qualité.
Qualtiki, calmi, custur me. Art thou a gentleman? What is thy name? Discuss.
Oh, Seigneur Dieu.
Oh, Seigneur Dieu. Should be a gentleman. Perpend my words, oh, Seigneur Dieu. And mark, oh, Seigneur Dieu, thou diest on point of fox, except, oh, Seigneur, thou do give to me egregious ransom.
Oh, prenez miséricorde, ayez pitié de moi.
Moi shall not serve. I will have 40 moires, for I will fetch thy rhyme out at thy throat, in drops of crimson blood.
Oh, est-il impossible d'achever la force de ton bras?
Brass, thou damned and luxurious mountain goat, offer to me brass?
Oh, pardonnez-moi.
Sayest thou me so? Is that a ton of Moors? Come hither, boy. Ask the slave in French, what is his name?
Écoute comme de vossa flé, Monsieur Lefer.
Monsieur Lefer.
He says his name is Monsieur Lefer.
Monsieur Fair. I'll fair him, and firk him, and ferret him. Discuss the same in French unto him.
I do not know the French for and ferret and firk.
Bid him prepare, for I shall cut his throat.
Que dit-il, monsieur?
Et mais comment veut dire qu'avez-vous vous plaît? Casa soda et si a déposé tout des d'aster, t'écoute des gosses?
Oh, oui, coupel gorge, hermaphore peasant. Unless thou give me crowns, brave crowns, or mangled shalt thou be with my sword.
Oh, je vous supplie pour l'amour de Dieu, me pardonnez. Je suis le gentilhomme de bon maison. Gardez ma vie et je vous donnerai du 100 écus.
What are his words?
He prays you to save his life. He is a gentleman of good house, and for his ransom he will give you 200 crowns.
Oh, tell him my fury shall abate, and I the crowns will take.
Petit monsieur, que dit-il?
Encore Villa du Kant, de Pal de Neheim, plaise me mai mal I, ka plaise mai ula, et la Kant bidon.
Sur mes genoux, je vous donne 1000 remerciements et je m'estime heureux que j'ai tombé entre les mains d'un chevalier, je pense, le plus brave, valiant et très distingué seigneur d'Angleterre.
Expound upon me, boy.
He gives you upon his knees 1,000 thanks, and he esteems himself happy, and that he hath fallen unto the hands of one, as he thinketh, the most brave, valorous, and thrice worthy Signor of England.
As I suck blood, I will some mercy show. Follow me.
Savou la grande cabine? I did never know so full a voice issue from an empty a heart. But the saying is true. The empty vessel makes the greatest sound. Bardolph and Nymph had 10 times more valor than this roaring devil it o play. That ere one of the may pares his nails with a wooden dagger, and they are both hanged. And so would this be, and he durst steal anything adventurously. I must stay with the lackeys, with the luggage of our camp. The French might have a good prey of us, if he knew of it, for there is none to guard it but boys.
Oh, diable! Oh, Seigneur, le jeu est perdu, tout est perdu.
Oh, mon Dieu, ma vie, all is confounded, all. Reproach and everlasting shame sits mocking in our plumes. Oh, méchant fortune, do not run away.
Why, our ranks are broke.
Oh, pure durable shame. Let us stab ourselves. Be these the wretches that we played at dice for?
Is this the king we sent to for his ransom?
Shame and eternal shame, nothing but shame. Let us die in once more, back again, and he that will not follow Bourbon now, let him go hence, and with his cap in hand like a base pander holds the chamber door, whilst a base slave no gentler than my dog, his fairest daughter is contaminated.
Disorder that has spoiled us, friend us now. Let us on heaps go offer up our lives. We are enough yet living in the field to smother up the England in our throngs, if any order might be thought upon.
The devil take order now. I to this home, let life be shocked. A shame will be too long.
Oh, we have done well, thrice valiant countrymen, but all's not done. Yet the French keep the field.
The Duke of York commends him to your majesty.
Lives he, good uncle? Thrice within this hour I saw him down, thrice up again in fighting. From helmet to the spur, all blood he was.
In which a way, a brave soldier, doth he lie, larding the plain, and by his bloody side, yoke fellow to his honor owing wounds, the noble Earl of Suffolk also lies. Suffolk died first, and York all haggled over comes to him, where in gore he lay steeped, and takes him by the beard, kisses the gashes that bloodily did yawn upon his face, and he cries aloud, "Tarry, my cousin Suffolk, my soul shall keep thine company to heaven. Tarry, sweet soul, for mine, then fly abreast. As in this glorious and well-foughten field we kept together in our chivalry." Upon these words I came and cheered him up. He smiled in my face, wrought me his hand, and with a feeble grip says, "Dear my lord, commend my service to my sovereign." So did he turn, and over Suffolk's neck he threw his wounded arm and kissed his lips, and so espoused to death, with blood he sealed a testament of noble ending love. The pretty and sweet manner of it forced these waters from me, which I would have stopped had not so much of man in me. and all my mother came into mine eyes and gave me up to tears.
I blame you not. For hearing this, I must perforce compound with mistful eyes, or they will issue too. But hark! What new alarm is this? The French have reinforced their scattered men? Then every soldier kill his prisoners. Give the word through.
Kill the poise and the luggage? 'Tis expressly against the law of arms. 'Tis as arrant a piece of knavery, mark you now, as can be offered in your conscience now, is it not?
'Tis certain there's not a boy left alive. The cowardly rascals that ran from the battle had done this slaughter. Besides, they have burned and carried away all that was in the king's tent. Wherefore the king most worthily has caused every soldier to cut his prisoner's throat. Oh, 'tis a gallant king.
Aye, he was born at Monmouth, Captain Gower. What call you the town's name where Alexander the Pig was born?
Alexander the Great.
Why, I pray he was not pig great. The pig or the great, or the mighty, or the huge, or the magnanimous, all are one reckonings, save the phrase is a little variations.
I think Alexander the Great was born in Macedon. His father was called Philip of Macedon, as I take it.
I think it is in Macedon where Alexander is born, yeah. I tell you, Captain, if you look in the maps of the old, I warrant you shall find in the comparisons between Macedon and Monmouth that the situations, look you, is both alike. There is a river in Macedon, and there is moreover a river at Monmouth. It is called Wye at Monmouth, but it is out of my plains. What is the name of the other river? But 'tis all one. 'Tis alike as my fingers is to my fingers. There is salmons in both. If you mark Alexander's life well, Harry of Monmouth's life is come after it indifferent well. For there is figures in all things. Alexander, God knows, and you know, in his rages and his furies and his wraths and his chollers and his moods and his displeasures and his indignations, and also being a little intoxicated in his prains, did in his ales and his angers, look you, kill his best friend Clitus.
Our king is not like him in that. He never killed any of his friends.
It is not well done, mark you now, to take the tales out of my mouth. There it is made and finished. I speak but in the figures and comparisons of it. As Alexander did kill his friend Clitus, being in his ales and his cups, so also Harry Monmouth, being in his right wits and his good judgments, turned away the fat king with the great belly doublet. Yeah, he was full of jests and jips and knaveries and mocks. I forgot his name.
Sir John Falstaff.
Ah, that is he. I tell you, there is a good man born at Monmouth.
Here comes his majesty.
I was not angry since I came to France until this instant. Take a trumpet, herald. Ride thou unto the horsemen on yon hill. If they will fight with us, bid them come down or void the field. They do offend our sight. If they'll do neither, we will come to them and make them scurry away as swift as stones enforced from the old Assyrian slings. Besides, we'll cut the throats of those we have, and not a man of them that we shall take shall taste our mercy. Go and tell them so.
Here comes the herald of the French, my liege.
His eyes are humbler than they used to be.
Oh. How now? What means this herald? Knowest thou not that I have fined these bones of mine for ransom? Comest thou again for ransom?
No, great king. I come to thee for a charitable license, that we may wander o'er this bloody field, to book our dead, and then to bury them, to sort our nobles from our common men. For many of our princes, woe the while, lie drowned and soaked in mercenary blood. So do our vulgar drench their peasant limbs in blood of princes, and with wounded steeds fret fetlock deep in gore, and with wild rage yerk out their armed heels at their dead masters, killing them twice. Oh, give us leave, great king, to view the field in safety and dispose of their dead bodies.
I tell thee truly, herald, I know not if the day be ours or no. for yet a many of your horsemen peer and gallop o'er the field?
The day is yours.
And praised be God, and not our strength for it. What is this castle called that stands hard by?
They call it Agincourt.
Then call we this the field of Agincourt, fought on the day of Crispin Crispianus.
Your grandfather of famous memory, and please your majesty, and your great uncle Edward, the Black Prince of Wales, as I have read in the chronicles, fought a most brave battle here in France.
They did, Fluellen.
Your majesty says very true. If your majesty is remembered of it, the Welshmen did good service in a garden where leeks did grow, wearing leeks in their Monmouth caps, which your majesty know to this hour is an honourable badge of the service. And I do believe your majesty takes no scorn to wear the leek upon St. David's Day.
I wear it for a memorable honour, for I am a Welsh, know you, good countrymen.
Oh, the water in Wye cannot wash your majesty's Welsh blood out of your body. I can tell you that. God please it and preserve it, as long as it pleases his grace and his majesty too.
Thanks, good my countrymen.
Jeez, I am your majesty's countryman. I care not who knows it. I will confess it to all the world. I need not to be ashamed of your majesty, praise be God, so long as your majesty is an honest man.
God keep me so. Our heralds go with him. Bring me just notice of the numbers dead on both our parts. Call yonder fellow hither.
Soldier, you must come to the king.
Soldier, why wearest thou that glove in thy cap?
Please, your majesty, 'tis the gage of one that I should fight withal if he be alive.
Englishman?
Please, your majesty, a rascal that swaggers with me last night, who, if alive and ever dare to challenge this glove, I have sworn to take him a box in the ear. Or if I could see my glove on his cap, which he swore he was a soldier he would wear, if alive, I will strike it out soundly.
What think you, Captain Fluellen? Is it fit this soldier keep his oath?
Oh, he is a craven and a villain else. And please your majesty, in my conscience.
It may be his enemy is a gentleman of great sort, quite from the answer of his degree.
Though he be as good a gentleman as the devil is, as Lucifer and Beelzebub himself, it is necessary, look your grace, that he keep his vow and his oath. If he be perjured, see you now, his reputation is as arrant a villain and a jack's horse, as ever his black shoe trod upon God's ground and his earth, in my conscience law.
And keep thy vow, sirrah, when thou meetst the fellow.
So I will, my liege, as I live.
Who servest thou under?
Under Captain Gower, my liege.
Oh, Gower is a good captain and is good knowledge and literacy in the wars.
Call him hither to me, soldier.
I will, my liege.
Here, Fluellen, wear thou this favour for me and stick it in thy cap. When Alencon and myself were down together, I plucked this glove from his helm. If any man challenge this, he is a friend to Alencon and an enemy to our person. If thou encounter any such, apprehend him, and thou dost me love.
Oh, your grace does me as great honours as can be desired in the hearts of his subjects. I would fain see the man, but has but 2 legs that shall find himself greased this glove, and that is all. But I would fain see it once, and please God of his grace that I might see.
Knowest thou Gower?
Oh, he is my dear friend, and please you.
Pray thee, go seek him, and bring him to my tent.
I will fetch him.
My Lord of Warwick and my brother Gloucester, follow Fluellen closely at the heels. The glove which I have given him for a favour may haply purchase him a box in the ear. 'Tis the soldier's. I by bargain should wear it myself. Follow, good cousin Warwick. If that soldier strike him as I judge, by his blunt bearing he will keep his word. Some sudden mischief may arise of it, for I do know Fluellen valiant and touched with choler, hot as gunpowder, and quickly will return an injury. Follow, and see there be no harm between them. Go with you me, uncle of Exeter.
I warrant it is tonight, you captain. Okay.
Yes.
Hello.
God's will and his pleasure, Captain, I beseech you now, come apace to the king. There is more good toward you, peradventure, than is in your knowledge to dream of.
Sir, know you this glove?
Know the glove? Oh, I know the glove is a glove.
I know this, unless I challenge it.
God's blood! An arrant traitor as any in the universal world, or in France, or in England.
How now, sir, you villain?
Do you think I'll be forsworn?
Oh, stand away, Captain Gower. I will give treason his payment into ploughs, I warrant you.
I am no traitor.
That's a lie in thy throat. I charge you in his majesty's name, apprehend him. He is a friend of the Duke Alençon.
How now? What's the matter?
Oh, my lord of Warwick, here is, praise be to God for it, a most contagious treason come to light. Look you, as you shall desire in a summer's day. Here is his majesty.
Oh, now, what's the matter?
My liege, here is a villain and a traitor that looked your grace has struck the glove which your majesty has taken out of the helmet of Alençon.
And my liege, this was my glove. Here is the fellow of it. And he that I gave it in change of promise to wear it in his cap, I promised to strike him if he did. I met this man with my glove in his cap, and I have been as good as my word.
Oh, your majesty here now, saving your majesty's manhood. What an arrant, rascally, beggarly, lousy knave it is. Oh, I hope your majesties bear me testimony and witness, and will avouchment that this is the glove of Alençon, that your majesty has given me in your conscience now.
Give me thy glove, soldier. Look, here is the fellow of it. 'Twas I, indeed, thou promised to strike, and thou hast given me most bitter terms.
Oh, please your majesty, let his neck answer for it, if there is any martial law in the world.
How canst thou make me satisfaction?
All offences, my lord, come from the heart. Never came any from mine that might offend your majesty.
It was ourself thou didst abuse.
Your majesty came not like yourself. You appeared to me but as a common man. Witness the night, your garments, your lowliness, and what your highness suffered under that shape. I beseech you, take it for your own fault, not mine. For had you not been as I took you for, I made no offense. Therefore, I beseech your highness, pardon me.
Here, Uncle Exeter, fill this glove with crowns and give it to this fellow. Keep it, fellow, and wear it for an honor in thy cap till I do challenge it. Give him the crowns, and captain, you must needs be friends with him.
Oh, by this day and this light, the fellow has metal enough in his belly. Hold, there is 12 pence for you, and I pray you to serve God and keep you out of brawls and prabbles, quarrels and dissensions. And I warrant you it is the better for you.
Well, none of your money.
Oh, it is with a good will. I can tell you it will serve you to mend your shoes. Come, wherefore should you be so bashful? Your shoes is not so good. 'Tis a good shilling, I warrant you, or I will change it.
Now, herald, are the dead numbered?
Here is the number of the slaughtered French.
What prisoners of good sort are taken, uncle?
Charles, Duke of Orleans, nephew to the king, John, Duke of Bourbon, and Lord Bochiquois, of other lords and barons, knights and squires, full 1,500 besides common men.
This note doth tell me of 10,000 French that are in the field lie slain, of princes in this number, in nobles bearing banners, there lie dead 126. Added to these of knights, esquires, and gallant gentlemen, 8,400, of the which 500 were but yesterday dubbed knights. So that in these 10,000 they have lost, there are but 1,600 mercenaries, the rest are princes, barons, lords, knights, squires, and gentlemen of blood and quality. The names of those there noble that lie dead: Charles Delabreth, High Constable of France; Jacques of Chatillon, Admiral of France; the Master of the Crossbows, Lord Rambures, Grand Master of France; the brave Sir Guichard Dauphin; John, Duke of Alençon; Anthony, Duke of Bourbon, the brother of the Duke of Burgundy; and Edward, Duke of Bar. of lusty earls, Grand Prix and Roussy, Falkenberg and Foix, Beaumont and Bâle, Vaudemont and Lestral. Here was a royal fellowship of death. Where is the number of our English dead? Edward, the Duke of York, the Earl of Suffolk, Sir Richard Kentley, David Gam, Esquire. None else of name. And of all other men but 25. Oh God, thy arm was here, and not to us, but to thy arm alone ascribe we all, when without stratagem, but in plain shock and even play of battle, was ever known so great and little loss on one part and on the other. Take it, God, for it is none but thine.
It is wonderful.
Come, go we in procession to the village, and be it death proclaimed through our host to boast of this, or take the praise from God, which is his only.
Is it not lawful, and please your majesty, to tell how many is killed?
Yes, Captain, but with this acknowledgement, that God fought for us.
Yes, my conscience, he did us great good.
Do we all holy rites? Let there be sung non nobis in Te Deum, the dead with charity enclosed in clay. And then to Calais, and to England then, where ne'er from France arrived more happy men.
Vouchsafe to those that have not read the story that I may prompt them, and if such as have, I humbly pray them to admit the excuse of time, of numbers, and due course of things, which cannot in their huge and proper life be here presented. Now, we bear the king toward Calais, grant him there seen, heave away upon your winged thoughts athwart the sea. Behold the English beach pales in the flood, with men, wives, and boys, whose shouts and claps outvoice the deep-mouthed sea, which like a mighty whiffler for the king seems to prepare his way. So let him land, and solemnly set him out to London. So swift a pace at thought, that even now you may imagine him upon Blackheath, where that his lords desire him to have borne his bruised helmet and his bended sword before him through the city. He forbids it, being free of vainness and self-glorious pride, giving full trophy, signal and ostent quite from himself to God. But now, behold, in the quick forge and working house of thought, how London doth pour out her citizens, the mayor and all his brethren in the best sort, like to the senators of the antique Rome, with the plebeians swarming at their heels, go forth and fetch their conquering Caesar in, as by a lower but by loving likelihood, were now the general of our gracious empress, as in good time he may, from Ireland coming, bringing rebellion broached on his sword. How many would the peaceful city quit to welcome him? Much more, and much more cause did they this harry. Now, in London, place him. As yet, the lamentation of the French invites the King of England's stay at home, the Emperor's coming in his behalf of France to order peace between them, and omit all the occurrences, whatever chanced, till Harry's back returned again to France. There must we bring him, and myself have played the interim, by remembering you, 'tis past, then brook abridgment, and your eyes advance, after your thoughts straight back again to France.
Nay, that's right, but why wear your leek today? St. David's Day is past.
Oh, there is occasions and causes why and wherefore in all things. I will tell you as my friend Captain Gower, the rascally, scored, beggarly, lousy, pragging knave pistol, which you and yourself and all the world know to be no better than a fellow, look you now, of no merit, he is come to me and brings me bread and a salt yesterday. Look you, and bid me eat my leek. It was at a place where I could not breed no contention with him, but I will be so bold as to wear it in my cap till I see him once again, and then I will tell him a little piece of my desires.
Why, here he comes. swelling like a turkey cock.
'Tis no matter for his swellings, nor his turkey cocks. God bless you, ancient pistol, you scurvy, lousy knave. God bless you.
Art thou Bedlam? Dost thou, thirst-faced Trojan, have me fold a Parcus fatal web? Hence I am quamish at the smell of leek.
Oh, I beseech you heartily, scurvy, lousy knave, at my desires and my requests and my petitions to eat, look you, this leek, because, look you, you do not love it, nor your affections and your appetite and your digestion does not agree with it. I would desire you to eat.
Not for Cadwallader and all his goats.
There is one goat for you. Will you be so good, scald knave, as eat it?
Base Trojan, thou shalt die.
Oh, you say very true, scald knave. When God's will is, I will desire you to live in the meantime and eat your victuals. Come, there is sauce for you. He called me yesterday mountain squire, but I will make you today a squire of low degree. I pray you fall to. If you can mock a leak, you can eke a leak.
Enough, Captain. You've astonished him.
Oh, I say, I will make him eat some part of my leek, or I will beat his pate 4 days. Bite, I pray you. It is good for your green wound and your bloody coxcomb.
Must I bite?
Yes, certainly. And out of doubt and out of question too, and ambiguities.
By this leek I will most horribly revenge. I eat, and eat I swear.
Eat, I pray you. Will you have some more sauce to your leek? There is not enough leek to swear by.
Quiet thy cudgel. Now just see I eat.
Much good do you, scald knave, heartily. Nay, pray you throw none away. The skin is good for your broken coxcomb. When you take occasions to see leeks hereafter, I pray you mock at him, that is all.
Good.
Aye, leeks is good. There is a groat to heal your pate.
Me? A groat?
Yes, verily, and in truth you shall take it. Or I have another leek in my pocket which you shall eat.
I take thy groat in earnest of revenge.
If I owe you anything, I will pay you in cudgels. You shall be a woodmonger and buy nothing of me but cudgels. Could buy you and keep you and hail your pate.
All hell shall stir for this.
Go, go. You are a counterfeit, cowardly knave. Will you mock at an ancient tradition begot upon an honourable respect and worn as a memorable trophy of predeceased valour, and dare not avouch in your deeds any of your words? I've seen you gleeking and galling at this gentleman twice or thrice. You thought, because he could not speak English in the native garb, he could not therefore handle an English cudgel. You find it to be otherwise, and henceforth let a Welsh correction teach you a good English condition. Fare you well.
Doth fortune play the housewife with me now? News have I that my doll is dead, with the spittle of a malady of France. There my rendezvous is quite cut off. Old I do wax, and for my weary limbs' honour is cudgelled. Well, Lord, I'll turn, and something lean to cut purse of quick hand. To England will I steal, and there I'll steal, and patches will I get unto these cudgelled scars, and swore I got them in the Gallia wars.
Peace unto this meeting wherefore we are met, unto our brother France and to our sister, health and most fair time of day, joy and good wishes to our most fair and princely cousin Catherine. And as a branch and member of this royalty by whom this great assembly is contrived, we do salute you, Duke of Burgundy, and princes French and peers. Health to you all.
Right, joyous we are to behold your face. Most worthy brother England, fairly met. So are you, princes English, every one.
So happy be the issue, brother Ireland, of this good day and of this gracious meeting, as we are now glad to behold your eyes which hitherto have borne in them against the French, that met them in their bent, the fatal balls of murthering basilisks. The venom of such looks we fairly hope have lost their quality, and that this day shall change all griefs and quarrels into love.
To cry amen to that, thus we appear.
You English princes all, I do salute you.
My duty to you both, on equal love, great kings of France and England, that I have labored with all my wits and pains and strong endeavors to bring your most imperial majesties unto this bar and royal interview. Your mightiness on both parts best can witness, since then my office hath so far prevailed that face to face and royal eye to eye you have congregated. Let it not disgrace me if I demand before this royal view what rub or what impediment there is, why that the naked, poor, and mangled peace, dear nurse of arts, plenties, and joyful births, should not, in this best garden of the world, our fertile France, put up her lovely visage. Alas, she hath from France too long been chased, and all her husbandry does lie on heaps, corrupting in its own fertility. Her vine, the merry cheerer of the heart, unpruned dies. Her hedges, even bleached, like prisoners wildly overgrown with hair, put forth disordered twigs. Her fallow leaves, the darnel, hemlock, and rank cemetery, doth root upon, whilst that they cut the rusts that should deracinate such savagery. The even mead that erst brought sweetly forth the freckled cowslip, burnet, and green clover, wanting the scythe with all uncorrected, rank, conceives by idleness and nothing teems, but hateful docks, rough thistles, kexes, burrs, losing both beauty and utility. And all our vineyards, fallows, meads, and hedges, defective in their natures, grow to wildness. Even so our houses and ourselves and children have lost, or do not learn for want of time, the sciences that should become our country, but grow like savages as soldiers will, that nothing do but meditate on blood, to swearing and stern looks, diffused attire, and everything that seems unnatural, which to reduce into our former favor, you are assembled. And my speech entreats that I may know the let why gentle peace should not expel these inconveniences and bless us with her former qualities.
If, Duke of Burgundy, you would the peace whose want gives growth to the imperfections which you have cited, you must buy that peace with full accord to all our just demands, whose tenors and particular effects you have enscheduled briefly in your hands.
The king hath heard them, to the which as yet there is no answer made.
Well, then the peace which you before so urged lies in his answer.
I have but with a cursory eye or glance the articles. Pleaseth your grace to appoint some of your council presently to sit with us once more with better heed to resurvey them. We will suddenly pass our accept and peremptory answer.
Brother, we shall. Go, Uncle Exeter, and Brother Clarence, and you, Brother Gloucester, Warwick, and Huntington, go with the king, and take with you free power to ratify, augment, or alter as your wisdom's best shall see advantageable for our dignity. Anything in or out of our demands, and will consign thereto. Will you, fair sister, go with the princes, or stay here with us?
Our gracious brother, I will go with them. Happily a woman's voice may do some good, when articles too nicely urged be stood on.
Yet leave our cousin Catherine here with us. She is our capital demand, comprised within the full rank of our articles.
She hath good leave.
Fair Catherine, and Most fair, will you vouchsafe to teach a soldier terms such as will enter at a lady's ear and plead his love suit to her gentle heart?
Your Majesty shall mock me. I cannot speak your England.
Oh, fair Catherine, if you will love me soundly with your French heart, I will be glad to hear you confess it brokenly with your English tongue. Do you like me, Kate?
Pardonnez-moi, I cannot tell what is like me.
An angel is like you, Kate, and you are like an angel.
Que dit-il que je suis semblable à les anges?
Oui, vraiment, sauf votre grâce. Ainsi dit-il.
I said so, dear Catherine, and I must not blush to affirm it.
Oh, bon Dieu, les langues des hommes sont pleines de tromperies.
What says she, fair one, that the tongues of men are full of deceits?
Ouais, that the tongue of the man is full of deceit. That is the princess.
The princess is the better Englishwoman. In faith, Kate, my wooing is fit for thy understanding. I am glad thou canst speak no better English, for if thou couldst, thou wouldst find me such a plain king that thou wouldst think I'd sold my farm to buy my crown. I know no ways to mince it in love, but directly to say, I love you. Then if you urge me farther to say, do you in faith I wear out my suit? Give me your answer. In faith do, and so clap hands and a bargain. How say you, lady?
So votre honneur me understand well.
Marry, if you would put me to verses or to dance for your sake, Kate, why, you undid me. For the one, I have neither words nor measure, and for the other, I have no strength in measure, yet a reasonable measure in strength. If I could win a lady at leapfrog or by vaulting into my saddle with my armor on my back, under the correction of bragging, be it spoken, I should quickly leap into a wife. Or, if I might buffet for my love, or bound my horse for her favors, I could lay on like a butcher and sit like a jackanapes, never off. But before God, Kate, I cannot look greenly, nor gasp out my eloquence, nor I have no cunning in protestation, only downright oaths, which I never use till urged, nor never break for urging. If thou canst love a fellow of this temper, Kate, whose face is not worth sunburning, that never looks in his glass for love of anything he sees there, let thine eye be thy cook. I speak to thee, plain soldier. If thou canst love me for this, take me. If not, to say to thee that I shall die is true, but for thy love, oh, by the Lord, no, yet I love thee too. And while thou livest, dear Kate, take a fellow of plain and uncoined constancy, for he perforce must do thee right, because he hath not the gift to woo in other places. For these fellows of infinite tongue that can rhyme themselves into ladies' favors, they do away reason themselves out again. What? A speaker is but a prater, a rhyme is but a ballad. A good leg will fall, a straight back will stoop, a black beard will turn white, a curled pate will grow bald, a fair face will wither, a full eye will wax hollow, but a good heart, Kate, is the sun and the moon, or rather the sun, not the moon. For it shines bright and never changes, but keeps his course truly. If thou would have such a one, take me, and take me. Take a soldier, take a king. And what sayest thou then to my love? Speak, my fair, and fairly, I pray thee.
Is it possible that I should love the enemy of France?
No. It is not possible you should love the enemy of France, Kate. But in loving me, you should love the friend of France. For I love France so well that I will not part with a village of it. I will have it all mine, and Kate, when France is mine and I am yours, then yours is France and you are mine.
I cannot tell what is that.
No, Kate, I will tell thee in French, which I am sure will hang upon my tongue like a new married wife about her husband's neck, hardly to be shook off. The grand sur les position de France est quoi vous avez de possession de moi. Let me see what then. Saint Denis be my speed. Dans votre est France, et vous étiez mine. Oh, God. It is easy for me, Kate, to conquer the kingdom, as much so speak more French. I shall never move thee in French unless it be to laugh at me.
Sur votre honneur, le français que vous parlez, il est meilleur que l'anglais lequel je parle.
No, Faith, it's not Kate, but thy speaking of my tongue and I thine most truly falsely must needs be granted to be much at one. But Kate, dost thou understand thus much English? Canst thou love me?
I cannot tell.
Well, can any of your neighbors tell, Kate? I'll ask them. Come, I know thou lovest me, and at night when you come into your closet, you'll question this gentlewoman about me, and I know, Kate, you will dispraise those parts in me that you love with your heart. But good Kate, mock me mercifully, the rather gentle princess, because I love thee cruelly. If ever thou beest mine, Kate, as I have a serving faith within me, tells me thou shalt, I get thee with scrambling, and thou must therefore needs prove a good soldier breeder. Shall not thou and I, between St. Denis and St. George, compound a boy, half French and half English, that shall go to Constantinople and take the Turk by the beard? Shall we not? What sayest thou, my fair flower de luce?
I do not know that.
No, 'tis hereafter to know, but now to promise. Oh, do but now promise, Kate, you will endeavour for your French part of such a boy, and for my English moiety, take the word of a king and a bachelor. How answer you, la plus belle Catherine du monde, mon très cher et divin d'essai?
Your Majesty have fausse French enough to deceive the most sage demoiselle that is in France.
Oh, now fie upon my false French. By mine honour in true English, I love thee, Kate. By which honour I dare not swear thou lovest me, yet my blood begins to flatter me that thou dost, notwithstanding the poor and untempering effect of my visage. Oh, now beshrew my father's ambition. He was thinking of civil wars when he got me. Therefore was I created with a stubborn outside, with an aspect of iron, that when I come to woo ladies, I fright them. But in faith, Kate, the elder I wax, the better I shall appear. My comfort is that old age, that I'll layer up of beauty, can do no more, spoil upon my face. Thou hast me. If thou hast me at my worst, and thou shalt wear me, if thou wear me, better and better, and therefore tell me, most fair Catherine, will you have me? Put off your maiden blushes, avouch the thoughts of your heart with the looks of an empress, take me by the hand and say, Harry of England, I am thine. Which word thou shalt no sooner bless mine ear withal, but I will tell thee aloud, England is thine, Ireland is thine, France is thine, and Harry Plantagenet is thine. For though I speak it before his face, if he be not fellow with the best king, thou shalt find the best king of good fellows. Come, your answer in broken music, for thy voice is music, and thy English broken. Therefore, queen of all, Catherine, break thy mind to me in broken English. Wilt thou have me?
That is as it shall please the roi mon père.
Nay, it will please him well, Kate. It shall please him well, Kate.
Then it shall also content me.
Upon that, I kiss your hand, and I call you my queen.
Laissez, monseigneur, laissez, mes frères. Je ne veux pas que vous abaissez votre grandiose en baisant le main de notre Seigneur et d'une serviteur. Excusez-moi, je vous supplie, mon très puissant Seigneur.
Oh, then I will kiss your lips, Kate.
Les dames et demoiselles pour être baisées devant leur noblesse, il n'est pas le coutume de France.
Madame, my interpreter, what says she?
That it is not to be fashioned pour the lady of France. I cannot tell what is the breeze in English.
To kiss.
Your Majesty entendre better que moi.
Oh, it is not a fashion for the maids in France to kiss before they're married, would she say?
Oui, vraiment.
Oh, Kate, well, nice customs, curtsy to great kings. Dear Kate, you and I cannot be confined within the weak list of a country's fashion. We are the makers of manners, Kate. And the liberty that follows our places stops the mouth of all fine faults, as I will do yours for upholding the nice fashion of your country and denying me a kiss. Therefore, patiently and yieldingly. You have witchcraft in your lips, Kate. There is more eloquence in a sugar touch of them than in the tongues of the French council, and they should sooner persuade Harry of England than a general petition of monarchs. Here comes your father.
God save your majesty, my royal cousin. Teach you our princess English?
I would have her learn, my fair cousin, how perfectly I love her, and that is good English.
Is she not apt?
Our tongue is rough, cuz, and my condition is not smooth, so that, having neither the voice nor the heart of flattery about me, I cannot so conjure up the spirit of love in her that he will appear in his true likeness.
Pardon the frankness of my mirth, if I answer you for that. If you would conjure in her, you must make a circle. If conjure up love in her in his true likeness, he must appear naked and blind. Can you blame her then, being a maid, yet rosed over with the virgin crimson of modesty? If she deny the appearance of a naked blind boy in her naked seeing self? It were, my lord, a hard condition for a maid to consign to.
Yet they do wink and yield as love is blind and enforces.
They are then excused, my lord, when they see not what they do.
Then, good my lord, teach your cousin to consent winking.
I will wink on her to consent, my lord, if you will teach her to know my meaning. For maids well-summered and warm-kept are like flies at Bartholomew tide, blind, though they have their eyes, and then they will endure handling, which before would not abide looking on.
This moral ties me over to time in a hot summer. And so I shall catch the fly, your cousin, in the latter end, and she must be blind too.
As love is, my lord, before it loves.
It is so. And you may, some of you, thank love for my blindness, who cannot see many a fair French city for one fair French maid that stands in my way.
Yes, my lord, you see them prospectively. The city's turned into a maid, for they are all girdled with maiden walls that Warren hath entered.
Shall Kate be my wife?
So please you.
I am content. So the maiden cities you talk of may wait on her. So the maid that stood in the way for my wish shall show me the way to my will.
We have consented to all terms of reason.
Is it so, my lords of England?
The king has granted every article, his daughter first, and in sequel all according to their firm proposed natures.
Only he hath not yet subscribed this, where your majesty demands that the king of France, having any occasion to write for matter of grant, shall name your highness in this form, and with this addition. In French, Notre chère fille Henri Roy d'Angleterre, héritière de France. And thus in Latin, Preclarissimus filius noster Henricus Rex Angliae et Heres Franciae.
No, this have I not, brother, so denied, but your request shall make me let it pass.
I pray you then, in love and dear alliance, let that one article rest with the rest, and thereupon give me your daughter.
Take her, fair son, and from her blood raise up, issue to me that the contending kingdoms of France and England, whose very shores look pale with envy of each other's happiness, may cease their hatred, and this dear conjunction plant neighborhood and Christian-like accord in their sweet bosoms, that never war advance his bleeding sword twixt England and fair France.
Amen. Now welcome, Kate, and bear me witness all that here I kiss her as my sovereign queen.
God, the best maker of all marriages, combine your hearts in one, your realms in one. As man and wife, being two, are one in love, so be there twixt your kingdoms such a spousal, that never may ill office or fell jealousy, which troubles oft the bed of blessed marriage, thrust in between the passion of these kingdoms, to make divorce of their incorporate league, that English may be as French, French Englishmen receive each other. God speak this. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Prepare we for our marriage, on which day my lord of Burgundy will take your oath, and all the peers, for surety of our leagues. Then shall I swear to Kate and you to me, and may our oaths well kept and prosperous be.
Thus far, with rough and all unable pen, our bending author hath pursued the story, in little room confining mighty men, mangling by starts the full course of their glory. Small time, but in that small, most greatly lived this star of England. Fortune made his sword, by which the world's best garden he achieved, and of it left his son, imperial lord, Henry VI, an infant bands crowned king. Of France and England did the king succeed, whose state so many had the managing, that they lost France and made his England bleed, which oft our stage hath shown. And for their sake and your fair minds, let this acceptance take. Well done, everyone.
Here, here.
Yeah. Wow. I gotta say, like, it's Zoom and the inevitable draining of energy happens, but boy, you guys kept it alive. Like, I so appreciate all of your talent and love for this work and connection to it. So thanks for giving yourselves to this. Let's do it again. Yeah.
Great, Alex.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, guys. God, you're so wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Paul.
Love to meet
Thank
his
you, Paul.
friends.
Yes, thank you all. Terrific job, everyone. Really great to hear this play. So, and remember, Monday is St. Crispin's Day.
Oh,
Hey, Ben.
But tomorrow comes the downfall of the Plantagenets.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
At the end.
Let's get that
Can I
ball
put it-
rolling.
Yeah, can I put in a plug for that, please? I'm looking for a bastard for tomorrow.